Hey, welcome to the ClevelandMoto podcast, episode number 498. Light them up, boys. Oh, yeah. A nice, that was a yingling out, man. A yingling out. Woo. It is I'm telling you, what a day I've had. I'm gonna bring you guys all up to speed, but I've been beat hard today. Nobody's wallet hurts more than mine does. Oh, I promise.
What was her name again?
Unless your house burned down yesterday, I got you beat. It is a very, very tough day around the shop. So to my immediate left, we have
Steve Alford.
Hey, and to his left,
Dan Kropke.
and to his left,
Steve Sleepy.
and
Johnny Mac.
to his left,
Speedy Pete.
and to his left,
Chris Smith.
and behind the bar,
Tom Pennington.
Tom Pennington. So what a dang day, a day that will live in infamy. Only because your humble narrator here, Phil Waters, owns a motorcycle shop. And I am affected by tariffs.
Oh.
And my customers will be affected by tariffs too.
Do tell.
I'm going to tell you. As of this morning, I was hit by a waterfall of emails from people I buy things from. As you can imagine, running a shop like I have for many, many years, we buy a lot of things. And a lot of the things that we buy don't come from the USA. A whole lot of things that we buy don't come from the USA. And I have had nothing but panicked phone calls from so many of my distributors. Some of them are feeling very sad. Some of them are like, man, I got bad news for you, man. I guess you probably knew this phone call was coming, but everything we sell you is going to go up in price 32%. And it's different.
Did my tires come in before that?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
You're going to be real happy about that. Yeah. And that's a big part of what we're going to talk about tonight is pre-tariff versus post-tariff. And just to bring people up to speed so that you understand, I have brought a list. So I will throw the list up to the screen if Sleepy wants to pitch it up so everybody can get a good look at what we're talking about. Okay. So as you can imagine, a whole lot of my motorcycles and scooters that I sell come from the European Union. And our European Union tariff is 20%. Now, I want to make sure Sleepy, what the hell are you got going on over there?
He's fanning a fart in my direction.
All right, I see it. Okay.
Nobody can see me.
He's lofting an air biscuit. All right.
Yeah, I was under incognito over here, man.
So 20%. Now, 20%, that's kind of a hellish increase. If it comes from China, it's 34%. If it comes from Japan, it's 24%. This is one you should pay attention to because a lot of people said, well, we're going to beat that Chinese tariff by taking our manufacturing to Vietnam. Vietnam is 46%.
Woof.
Woof is right.
To put these into perspective, though, I mean, you got the first column is what it was yesterday, and the second column is what it is today.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So the European Union, it's only gone up 1.5%. So that's negligible, let's call it. But some of these others are significant.
Well, no, this is not, that first one is not what we're paying now. The first one is the share of our U.S. imports.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Right. So to clarify, European Union provides us with 18.5% of our imports. And that tariff went from no appreciable tariff to 20%. I mean, I buy things from Europe for the past 25 years, never had to pay a tariff on anything from the European Union. And now, getting down that list, Taiwan, you would be shocked if you worked at my shop for a while, how many things that we sell on a daily basis that come from Taiwan. And I know that's only 3.6% of our tariffs in the United States, but hitting my shop at 32%. If that item I sold you last week was $10, it will be $13.20. That is a massive, massive increase. India, 27%. Who likes motorcycles that come from Thailand?
Yay, yeah. Me.
Right?
Absolutely.
You do like motorcycles that come from Thailand.
Honda likes motorcycles that come from Thailand.
So does Kawasaki.
Exactly.
Yep.
37%. 37%. That's higher than China, guys.
Now this is going to be splitting hairs. I'm going to roll you back to India for a minute. What's that going to do to the Triumph 400?
27%. It is no longer going to be the world's terrific value that it is.
Exactly.
It will be 27% smokier, right? These are very, very, very big numbers. We're not worried about the other, a lot of the other stuff. We're not worried about stuff from Guyana. We're not worried about stuff from Iraq. We're not worried about stuff from Pakistan, right?
Pakistan.
That's all different stuff. I get all of it, but those are very, very low percentage numbers. But at my shop, if you want to know what's going to affect me, it's that 20% on anything that comes from the European Union. It's that 34% on anything that comes from China. And it is definitely that 32% from Taiwan and that 27% from India. Those guys right there, that's the power. Those are the power players in my shop. Now, regarding the stuff that in my shop, that these items I could choose to source from a United States vendor or a United States manufacturer, the number is 0. There is not one item at my store that I can make a selection to have the tariff modify my behavior, and I can selectively choose to buy, let's just say, a Bell helmet, instead buy it from a U.S. helmet manufacturer, because there ain't none, okay? When I look at all the things that I sell my customers on a day-to-day basis, whether it's an NGK spark plug, Yuasa battery, right? An oil filter, a fuel filter, even a quart of oil.
How many American tire manufacturers are there?
Well, there's a couple, but you got to be buying the world's most expensive tires. So you have to be getting an American Elite for your Harley Davidson, and that will be a USA made tire by Dunlop. That's what you're going to be buying.
And Dunlop just rolled back. Like they shut down. They didn't shut the factory down. They stopped a line.
Over 65% of their U.S. production was stopped.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I was going to say. So you think you're buying an American product, buying a Dunlop tire. Well, guess what? They're not making as many as they were 6 months ago in the United States.
I just today did a deep dive on tires with my tire supplier. And what I learned is that aside from perhaps a Harley Davidson that comes into my shop, or if you have a Moto Guzzi California 1400, well, Chris,
Yeah.
you do have a Moto Guzzi California 1400.
Yeah.
The last time we put a tire on it, though, we put a Metzler on because it was 1/2 the price of an American Elite.
No.
Because an American Elite for your bike is $490 for Ein tire. And the Metzler cost about $275. So in order to teach them a thing or two and buy the American product, you got to be willing to come out of pocket. In that particular case, 100% more money. So,
Which is still more than, if my math is correct, than the tariff on the EU.
yes, it is.
So it still doesn't matter.
It still doesn't matter.
Or I could just ride the bologna skins and be done with it.
Well, but that's a thing that your American consumer needs to be aware of. Think of whatever particular motorcycle you were fantasizing about, whatever motorcycle you were thinking about buying. Where does it come from? And are you willing to now spend, well, if it's from Thailand, are you willing to spend an additional 37% buying that motorcycle? If the bike you were looking at was from Thailand. If you were looking at a KTM that's made in China, well, 34%. If you were looking at a Kawasaki, Thailand. If you were, and I were going to say, Japan, no goddamn slouch at 24%. Honestly, the cheapest motorcycle, the one that's least impacted by tariff, is going to be a European-built BMW.
Well, now, are we dropping because somebody mentioned earlier we're not tariffing Russia. Are we dropping the what do you call them? Are we allowing crap from Russia again?
Parts.
Like the Nokian tires and bullshit?
Tell me the dealer, me the distributor that carries them. Yeah, okay, Ural. I'm not going to buy Urals. I'm not going to start selling Urals.
But how is this going to affect them at all?
Adventures Northwest had a great question. What about parts?
What about parts? This is my point.
This is all 20%.
This is my point.
Who doesn't have a tariff?
Well,
that's the better question.
Right.
Indiana.
Right.
Indiana.
Right. So
Because those are going to be the winners, right? Because that's going to be the country that everything gets funneled through.
Well, if and this comes to the second part of our thing, if the tariffs hang around. because the last time we had a big old motorcycle tariff and somebody said, okay, we got you 1983, 1984. Let's start having more motorcycles built in Nebraska for Kawasaki. Let's start having more motorcycles built in Marysville, Ohio for Honda, right? The last time that happened, it wasn't like, yeah, we need to do that. And 6 months later, you're building Goldwings in Marysville. Yeah. No, they said it. And 3 years later, motorcycles are coming out of that factory. So it takes a very, very long time to gear up. One of my customers today said, hey, we sell a metric shit ton of the Piaggio Liberty scooters. Tom will tell you it is one of the most reliable bikes we sell.
It's been the best value come out of the door.
Yeah. It's made in Vietnam.
Yep.
They do also build them in Italy. So we could say, rather than us passing a fee along to our customers from that Vietnamese manufacturing at a 46% tariff, which is going to take a $3,000 bike and make it into a $6,000 bike. Okay. Or I'm sorry, a $5,000 bike before taxes and fees. But your out the door cost on that bike that was half the price of a Vespa is now going to go past the price of a Vespa riding on the tariff alone. So it's no longer going to be the cheerful, cheap alternative to buying an actual Vespa Primavera. Go ahead, Chris.
So 46% in Vietnam. I don't know what Italy's all about, but if they take the Vietnamese built bikes, ship them to Italy, and then bring them in under the Italy tariff, maybe you save a couple of bucks. I don't know.
So what was the tariff for the UK?
20?
10%.
10%.
10%.
So are Triumphs considered to be UK bikes?
No. Not at all. It's country of origin. And it very specifically states country of origin.
Yeah, because they're not going to reopen Hinckley.
Because the Hondas say Thailand. I mean, the
Hondas do say Thailand.
VIN numbers
I've gotten
Thailand.
Yeah, my Honda parts supplier, I talked to them today. I talked to all of my parts suppliers today because today was the day that every single person called my shop and said, I want to alert you that order of parts you placed the other day for $1,800 has not arrived on our shores yet.
Oh, therefore,
you're going to be paying, and I think
a little bit more.
35% was my average on one parts order.
Well, let me ask you this: if you ordered and paid for the parts 5 months ago, are you still getting hit with like the import?
Yes.
Okay.
If they haven't landed yet,
it still has to go through customs.
So if it hasn't hit American soil yet, you will be paying.
So that's like, it's not like the orders that were placed today. It's like whatever hits our shores today.
So I have a great number of customers that place deposits on bikes that they wanted a particular color. They wanted a particular model. That unit hasn't arrived yet. Now, here's the fun thing. Does anybody here at this table have any idea of the number of Piaggio, not Aprilia, not Moto Guzzi, but Piaggio and Vespa bikes sold in the United States last year? Anyone want to throw a guess out?
Oh, Guzzi.
2,500.
I'm thinking 5,800.
Keep going.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's get closer into the 9,000 and 10,000 numbers.
All right.
That's impressive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when everybody goes, oh, that's cute, you got scooters. Keep in mind that Piaggio, in their Piaggio line and their Vespa line, sells a healthy number of bikes in the United States. Huh. And that is more bikes than some of these other motorcycle manufacturers that you might go, oh, well, that's a real motorcycle, as opposed to that little scooter over there, right? These numbers are very, very high. And there is no American-built alternative. There is no factory making anything that would be an alternative for you should you say, I want a 300cc scooter.
I was going to say, Cushman got out of this, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
40 years ago?
Right.
I mean, the Eagle was about it.
Okay. Is there an American manufactured vehicle under 750 cc's?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, no.
Scooter-wise?
I don't care. Motorcycle-wise.
Anything.
Janice?
Ron Conkanakanen?
Yeah.
Well, Chris mentioned Janice or Indiana specifically earlier in the conversation. But where does Indiana get their engines?
That's the other thing.
Well, that's the only thing they get.
Right.
But
from
that's the question now: is what does that do to them? They have to import that part.
The Janus,
most parts.
the Janus parts that come, and this is the part I've spent a hell of a lot of time reading 40 pages of exceptions. Yeah, tariff-free Micheladas in sunny Canton, Ohio. You are right, Micheladas. Yeah, it's gonna be like, oh, look at me, I'm acting responsibly. I'm getting loaded on American-built, liquor.
Somebody brought up Rokon. Are they built here?
That's what I said. Rokanakanan. I can't say them.
Rokon.
Yeah, that.
Oh,
Rokon, yeah.
I think they sold 12 last year.
I was gonna say, they're not moving 9 to 10,000 units.
Yeah, but
of
look, you
Rokons.
said it made in New Hampshire.
Right, yeah,
there you
made in New
go.
Hampshire. Right.
They're two-wheel drive though, so they get counted double.
Yes, they do. So now, because this particular tariff program, if you want to take the time to read it, it's mind-numbing. And there is a list of exceptions. It's 42 pages long. I'm now saying, because I was up last night until 3:30 in the morning reading, there is not a single thing on that exception list that you can buy at my dealership. Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. And they are counting non-complete products. So if they say, congratulations, you bought an F-150, but 85% of that F-150 came from Canada or Mexico, guess what? Now, they're saying that there is an exception for automobiles. And the problem is, I went back and I watched the tapes, and he said automobiles, he said vehicles, and he said cars and trucks. When you read the paper, the document specifically says American automotive manufacturers will be exempt. But it does not say,
But isn't the point to get people to make their companies here? So like Honda has
Yes, they
things
do.
here.
Volkswagen's got a huge plant in
So
Chattanooga.
are they, I mean, if it's here, they can't tariff it, right?
Well,
Or
then
some of the parts.
Then it gets down to how many parts are inside of that thing,
and where's those parts coming
and where
from?
do those parts come from?
And having secondhand information about all that I can't really talk
It's
about
okay,
either.
but you can say things. You just don't have to put names down.
Exactly.
Right.
Having heard those conversations and felt and the hair pulling and everything else and screaming and yelling about each individual down to the microprocessor part.
Yep.
Everybody hates you. Everybody hates you for not you, but everybody hates this.
Of course they do.
Everybody hates this.
One, because as we found out in many, many hours of meetings today with many different manufacturers and distributors, what I can tell you is not one of them, and we're talking about the flat rate tariff hits April 5. The country-based reciprocity hits April 9. They are running into this. I mean, they are running into this situation. And the manufacturers do not have time right now to alter their billing, to alter their price lists, to alter their point of sale systems to reflect this. So what most manufacturers that I deal with are saying, we're going to hold your order. Pause. We're putting a pause on things.
Pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes. Exactly. So when I said to people today and yesterday and the day before, I contacted each one of my distributors and I said, what do you have in your warehouse right now that I can buy?
Yeah.
That came in already. It's been sitting in your warehouse for N+1 that I can buy so I can sell it pre-tariff.
Yeah.
And these guys were in such a state of panic because I was call number 400. Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Every person that has the internet who has a dealership or selling something, whether they're at Home Depot, whether they're at Advanced Auto Parts, or whether they are at my shop, is contacting their manufacturers, their distributors, and saying, is there any way we can empty your warehouse with a bulk order? Because no matter what I buy, it's going to be at minimum 20% less than it will be on April 5th.
Yeah. This morning I was kicking myself because I still need to buy a brand new battery for the Element.
Right.
And I'm like, oh fuck, I just missed the deadline.
Perhaps.
Right.
Find somebody that's got an Interstate on the shelf already.
Exactly.
Right. I am going to promise you that every single phone call that I had today was with a person on the other end of the phone who was at the end of their goddamn rope. Plus, every customer that came into my shop today was also in an absolute state of panic. We are going to see if this stretches out. Now, a little something for our people at home. I've also talked to about 7 dealers in my dealer network today. And a great number of my dealers in my dealer network have said, I'm not ordering in a single vehicle that has that tariff on it.
Good.
I'm going to sell what I have.
Clear your floor.
At the exact price that they are right now. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to order a single vehicle because this is a game of brinkmanship.
It sure is.
And that this is all going to blow over in 6 months. My problem is they chose the wrong 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's great to have a dick measuring contest in November.
Yeah.
That's fine. But when it happens to be, as I've just said, everything in my store is going to be touched by this tariff. And this is when the people that come into my store need batteries. It's when people need oil filters. It's when they need stuff. Motul oil, it doesn't come from here. Motorex doesn't come from here. A lot of the oils and a lot of the products that our customers' owners' manuals says they're supposed to put in their bikes don't come from here.
Have you ever heard of AMSOIL?
20% discount on the tariff you don't pay, right?
AMSO is going to start looking cheap these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
Right.
unfortunately, once you let the salesman in, it's like a vampire. They don't go away.
That's
Never.
true. Well, did I mention I'm selling AMSOIL now?
Of course
my
he is.
God.
Of course you are.
How convenient for me.
How convenient.
Hey, Chris, hey, Pete, do you know where I can get any
Who are you
stickers?
talking to there, Tom?
I'm
Chris
talking to
or
Pete.
Okay,
Hey, Pete,
all right.
do you know where I can get some stickers?
I've already put them on your car, Tom.
Right. That's it.
Ask me about my AMSOIL.
I've already taken all of the Pennzoil off your shelf and replaced it with AMSOIL. Right. Yeah. Your store display is already up in the corner. You didn't see it. Go ahead,
That
Chris.
little hand cranky thing.
So I got a question. Much like 6 years ago when COVID was branded as the China flu, would your pricing ever be delineated with a line item for Trump tax?
Correct. And
would you be ballsy enough to put that on there just so that the buying public sees
Right.
that it's a Trump tax?
out of the distributors I spoke with today, I did not have a single distributor that I talked to today not call it a Trump tariff.
I would make it worse than that Trump tax.
Right.
Oh no, I've been calling it the idiot tax for at least 6 months.
Okay.
Either way.
But
either
the point being, it is associated with that.
Yeah.
And I do want to remind you that anybody who's taken their first year of economics knows about the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act.
Yes, they sure do.
Okay. And they consider that to be a Hoover mistake
Yeah.
that put our
Still,
country.
100 years later.
It's on the United States Senate website being called the most catastrophic financial decision ever made by the United States of America. Put us into a 9-year depression that the only thing that saved us was World War II.
Yep.
When the people that literally blockaded trade with the United States were forced to take trade with the United States at the end of a German gun. And that's what opened up trade, was a war. Now, my personal thought on tariffs is that tariffs are great when you need to make micro adjustments. When you have a contract, when I have a contract, I'm selling you corn and I've been selling you corn for 20 years and we have agreed upon price. But then Pete starts telling you, I'm going to undercut Phil's corn by 20% so you buy from me instead. And Phil goes, wait a second, we had a contract, Steve. I've been selling you corn for that price for 20 years. What I might do is I might say, okay, anything that I normally buy from Pete, I'm going to stick a tariff on, since Pete likes selling me stuff too. So if Pete doesn't have a customer with me anymore, he might be inclined to back away from that sweetheart deal with you and give that deal back to me again. Surgical tariffs do work.
Pete, that
Unfortunately, the Smoot-Hawley tax tariff was a broad sweeping blanket effect, shotgun effect. That we can look in our history books and we can read about that, and we don't need to be political. Nobody's up here arguing about like, well, I've been a Hoover guy since day one, and I'm going to back Hoover, right? He never did anything wrong.
Well,
right?
Conversely, for the past 40 years, let's be honest, we've given business all of the sticks, all the carrots.
Yes.
Never hit them with a stick.
Yes.
That's been the entire thing.
Of course.
Neoliberalism literally is, here's all the carrots, please give us jobs. And they haven't. And this is a big wonkin' stick, but it's not going to have any results. Just the same as giving them all the carrots.
If we said this is going to bring manufacturing to the United States, I invite you to tell me, how quickly can you ramp up production in the United States to take advantage of these tariffs?
Well, all those
3 years.
3 to 4 years.
Yeah. How long is Blue Oval taken?
It's $1 billion operations, like $9-10 billion factories.
So-
that doesn't go up in 2 days.
No.
And in the meantime, what does the average American consumer do? John told me this earlier today. How are you responding to this, John?
Just not buying shit.
Bingo. And that is Smoot Hawley. That is exactly what happened, is you are going to stop buying stuff. Go ahead.
And I would proffer that the American companies that want to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. before tariffs, that they said, in 3 years, we're going to slap tariffs on you guys. I bet they drag their feet up till 60 days before. And
absolutely.
say, yeah, we're not doing it. I think they'll fold.
Most, again, more things I'm not supposed to talk about. Most manufacturers have just said, fuck it, we'll wait 4 years.
So today I had 3 people in my showroom that are all business people. They have the name incorporated after their name. They were looking at buying bikes and they said, I'm just going to wait till this all blows over.
Sure.
I'm just going to wait till this all blows over. And those are people that drove up in cars that were $100,000 plus.
It doesn't help you.
It doesn't help me. Not one bit. And they all came in, they looked around, they sat on bikes, they had a great experience, they really had a good time. And I said, great, let's get a deposit. You know what? I'm going to wait to see what happens. Well, that's 3 sales I didn't make today. Mm-hmm. Last Thursday, I made 4 sales. Today, I made 0. And not only did I make 0 sales, of the 34 bikes from one distributor that I had on pre-order that already took my forward order and hit my Wells Fargo flooring with along the lines of $270,000 that is already on my books for product that has not landed in the United States. Do you think that they're going to go, yeah, we'll let that 20% slide. You got in before the order.
You took my money.
You took my money. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Of the dealers I spoke with today and of the suppliers I spoke with today, they all said the same thing. That doesn't mean shit. You took my money. What that means is we ordered 34 bikes for you. And if you look deeply into your dealer contract says price variations
may occur
in the time between when you place the order and when the order arrives at the warehouse. And each one of them, because every dealership I know has flooring, and your manufacturer, your distributor, says, hey, that $227,000 invoice we just submitted to your Wells Fargo, we're going to tack on an additional $48,000. And they can, and they will. Go ahead.
So out of the 3 people that came in today, all the bikes on your floor are pre-tariff.
Yes, they are.
So why would they wait 4 years?
That's a good goddamn question. And go ahead.
And every bike, all the 177,000 bikes on your floor should all be flying out the window right now because it's pre-tariff.
I wonder what would stop that from happening.
Would they be worried about their investment accounts that maybe lost a lot of money, so they didn't want to spend the money?
Each one of those guys driving those $100,000 cars today reminded me how they have recently, over the past 18 or 31 days, lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in stocks.
Oh, yeah.
And each one of them is feeling a very low degree of consumer confidence. And when people are feeling a low degree of consumer confidence, they tend to not make $10,000 novelty luxury purchases.
But the way to feel better about that is to make a $10,000 novelty luxury purchase.
Yes, it is.
And drive down the road with hair blown.
And you've known me for a long time. If you don't think that I reminded people, strike while the fucking iron is hot, pal.
Yeah, baby.
If you don't think I hammered that into their fucking skulls, that tomorrow this bike is going to be gone.
Once they're gone, they're gone.
Right. Tomorrow this bike is going to get bought by a guy who's 20% smarter than you.
Yeah.
And he's going to be riding this bike, and I'm going to have to order one for you, and it's going to be 20% more expensive. And that guy goes, yeah, that's a vibe check I don't like. You've turned this from being a fun experience into a predatory experience.
So
How did you do that, though?
No, because he feels like he's at odds in a situation that he can't get traction against.
So it's
I didn't put him in that position,
You did not.
but he still feels it. And he feels it in my building.
You should have told him the predatory position would be like, this bike's 20% more, even though you didn't pay the 20%.
I had a rep today tell me you can leverage the bikes that you bought pre-tariff by selling them at the post-tariff price. And that will ease the sting of the price you're paying for the post-tariff bikes.
That'll alienate your customers. That's what that'll do.
Okay? And that was my rep's best fucking solution for a bad situation.
Must be an MBA.
Well, what you could do is sell the new ones that are on the floor for half of what the tariff is, and then lower the cost of the new bikes by half the tariff.
You could do price averaging.
Yeah, and then
You could do price averaging. Right
but,
now,
but I mean, it's bad either way,
Yep.
but it still gives a customer like a more longevity to the selling of the bikes.
right now, the only kryptonite I have against the negative vibe of a 20% increase in product for no goddamn reason other than tax collection is buy it pre-tariff. That's the only kryptonite I have. And that's only going to last for existing inventory.
Yeah.
Because I got to make a strong decision about taking 34 bikes that are all going to be 24% or 20% more expensive. And also the fuck you factor of I ordered these things 30 days ago. Right? But when I ordered them, they were still in a warehouse in Europe. And now they're on a boat. They haven't even gotten to the US yet. So my pre-order status doesn't fucking matter. And also the 7 or 8 people that I have that have deposits. Right? Because they didn't want to take the green one. They wanted the red one. Well,
Red one's 20% more.
Well, I'm calling these people and saying, look, you bought a bike at a certain price. The red one's going to be 20% more. And I understand that you feel like I'm fucking you over on this deal. I have a green one here that is not 20% more. I will move your deposit over onto that vehicle and let you have the bike at that price. However, I promise you, nobody in any supply chain anywhere is going to go, yeah, you got your order in before the tariff, so we're going to honor that. Because I did a little short math, and the boat that's bringing the bikes in question, that 20% is $7 million. So what company can you think of is going to say, yeah, they had their order in ahead of time, so we're going to come out of our pocket $7 million to satisfy over 100 dealers worth of orders. And it's the largest order any dealer is going to place this year because it's the order that was supposed to arrive here on April 1.
what about?
That's a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, the used bike market's going to be the way to go. I mean, if you could buy almost new bikes and start stockpiling them right now until that jumps up. And,
bingo. And we saw that happen during COVID.
But now's the sweet spot. Like,
when manufacturing,
those Ewan bikes you got at a really good deal, they're going to be worth even
I'm
more.
feeling really good about those bikes right now.
So how many?
It's going to be time to clean out the warehouse of all the projects.
How many extra bikes have you picked up in the past 6 months, Phil?
Right.
How many extra bikes have I been working on for you? In the past
Absolutely.
6 months.
Right. And that's going to help
for
us.
this exact
That's
moment.
going to help us because during COVID,
actually, Sean O'Hara just brought this up. He's like, "What is the same thing? What is this going to do to the used bike market?"
Dan Hostick, he just said it. Look what pandemic did to the pre-owned market.
Yeah.
So here's the issue with the pandemic. With the pandemic, the reason we couldn't get any bikes was that factories were closed due to COVID, social distancing, et cetera, et cetera.
Supply chain
production
issues.
was zero.
Yep.
Whether it's computer chips or people at the factory, or the factory had to close because 10% of the factory got COVID and 1,300 people died in a week.
Yeah.
Right. These places where we buy our stuff, they stopped making stuff. So they stopped making stuff, and that made the value of the things that were out there more valuable.
Absolutely.
It raised the price when a customer came into my showroom and said, I want to look at the new Moto Guzzi's. And I said, well, we don't have any new Moto Guzzi's. Can I show you a 5-year-old, G400? Can I show you a used bike? And they were like, well, I want something because social distancing. But I'm going to remind everybody that COVID came along with $500 stacks of money that nobody worked for. You were social distancing if you wanted to do anything, you were working from home, you were sick looking at your wife and kids, you had to get out of the goddamn house, right? You had many, many incentives to go buy a motorcycle. And none of those things exist. The stimmy checks aren't there. They're not there. Nobody's forcing you to stay at home. You're at work and you're probably working harder than you've worked before. Your expenses, your grocery bill's gone up. Your cost of living has gone up. And your pay probably hasn't gone up at the same pace as your cost of living. Not around here, it hasn't. So what's probably going to happen is there's still going to be supply. I can think of KTM has over 230,000 motorcycles they need to get rid of. I can think of a lot of companies.
Are they in this country?
No, they are not. Yeah. So they're going to get fucked. And I just am going to tell you, when you compare when you compound malaise, lack of consumer confidence, a sense of this will all blow over, this is some temporary dick measuring shit, what's going to happen is there's going to be a large gap where nobody buys nothing. You'll buy the shit you need to buy. You're still going to go to the grocery store. You're probably going to go to Aldi instead of going to Heinen's, right? You're still going to buy the stuff you have to buy, and you're going to hate it every step of the way when you discover that cabinet that you want to buy at Home Depot didn't actually get made in the United States, and it just went up 20 to 40%. Mm-hmm. That's everything you need to buy. If you need to buy a new sink because your old one's broken or what have you, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be more expensive than it was before.
I mean, what's Amazon going to look like now?
If the average thing that you buy at minimum goes up 20%, did your pay go up 20% to match it? And if your pay didn't go up 20, or your Social Security didn't go up 20%, if you're on a fixed income, if your pension didn't go up 20%, if your income didn't go up at least 20%, you're going to go into a period of not buying so much shit. If you're building a new house and the cost of your lumber and things to put in that house just went up because it's fine Saskatchewan hardwood.
They said that the average, I just heard this on NPR on the way here, the average house in the next year, like $250,000 house is going to go up $9,000 to $15,000 in material costs just for the house.
Now the other rainbow of this, because I've been on the other end of this too, is you're going to swing heavy on your credit.
Yes, you are.
You're going to swing. Yeah. Oh God, I've got to float a pizza this week,
and it's
on
already
12%.
Too high.
Exactly. Because Steve Lang had a huge post about that we are way over leveraged.
Way over leveraged. And has anyone looked at their credit card bill lately and tell me what their monthly interest rate is on their credit card bill?
It's insane.
Anyone?
It's like 24%.
24%.
Right. Anyone. And I've got a redonkulous credit.
Yeah.
And when I looked at my business credit cards, which used to be 4.9 and 5.9%, they are at 19.99% right now. So daddy's paying off all his bills every single goddamn month because 20% is way too much percents.
I'm about to take the Bank of Phil up on that offer.
Yes, that is a good idea. While the Bank of Phil still is flush. Exactly. I promise you this.
There's going to be a run on the Bank of Phil.
There is going to be a run on the Bank of Phil.
But Phil, unsecured loans are really bad.
Unsecured loans are really bad.
No. The loan would be secured,
right?
Because I have a whole garage full of securement.
Oh no, I don't want your collateral. I want your wrench.
You are indentured.
Yes,
I am
exactly.
servitude.
Right. Yeah, Tom has in his garage is nothing but headaches.
Oh yeah.
What Tom produces with his hands is nothing but fucking delightfulness.
Oh, it's gold.
Right. Tom's hands are gold. So.
He's a good mechanic too.
Yes,
that's you.
You want a happy ending?
You could say he's handy.
Happy ending.
Not from those hands.
Little rough.
No, I'd rather drag him across the bricks. That is not no bueno. So
it's a Sordic deal. Tom
Sordic deal.
A Sordic deal from Tom is not a good deal. You in fact can beat that. Best to stop by not starting.
Yep.
I promise you this. Snipe. If you were considering purchasing a motorcycle, this is a really good time to buy a used bike. It's a really good time if you were looking at buying a brand new bike to fucking get on the horn to your dealer right now and get a pre-tariff unit. Get a pre-tariff unit. This is where the goddamn rubber meets the fucking road. I was shocked on one phone call I made today to hear that the lunatics at Moto Morini are still giving you $1,500 off an existing 23 in my inventory.
Wow.
They didn't just immediately go, let's pull that back. We don't need, look, they don't need that. They don't need to do that if the bikes they're selling are not tariffed.
So let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
So say like you have a local shop, not you. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
And last week you walked in and you were eyeballing this bike.
Yeah.
That was $6,100. And the same bike is there this week. So it hasn't come from a boat.
Right.
But that fucker's like $7,100 now. That dealer's kind of a dick.
No, that dealer is doing cost averaging. What Steve talked about. That dealer sees the forest from the trees, and what he's going to do is he's going to increase the price of his inventory by 10% if he gets European bikes. He's going to increase the price of his existing inventory by 10% so he can increase the price of incoming inventory as little as possible.
But if he does that, though, then he might lose the person that was looking at that $6,100 bike.
Absolutely.
So that is kind of like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is very common when these deals happen, when something like this happens, is dealers will look for any way to get clickbait, to get you to click on their shit.
Right.
And a great way to do that is no tariffs at Happy's House of Motors.
Right.
We'll eat the cost of the tariffs.
What they're doing, it's just like when a car dealer says, I'm going to sell you this car at list.
Well, just, I mean, knowing you from what you've said all these years,
right?
Like they can't eat because your point margin isn't even the price of the tariff.
Absolutely. Right. I would be thrilled to get a 20% margin that I could eat and sell the bike at a zero-sum game.
Right.
I would be thrilled. But I promise you, if you're in the motorcycle industry, that shit don't exist.
We're going to send you over to F&I. They're going to solve the problem.
But that's why the motorcycle industry is going to have a problem.
Yes.
Because the margin is slim. But a lot of these other places are just going to eat half that tariff or all of it because the margin is so huge on what they sell that they're not going to even worry about it. They'll just eat it. So
they might. And if they're selling, if you can think of a thing that somebody's selling you, like a pizza, right?
Widgets.
If you can think of a pizza where the tomatoes on the pizza come from Italy, right? And the cheese on the pizza comes from Italy, right? That pizza guy might not want to increase the price of his pizza by $4 to match the increased tariff he's paying on the cheese and the tomatoes. What he might do instead is just eat it because his pizza is running at a 40% or 60% margin.
If he eats the pizza, how's he going to sell it?
Don't get high on your own supply, friends.
Great. My frickin' burrata just went through the roof.
Yes, exactly.
Right. I think the only thing good about what's going on here with the tariffs is that if it brings like pharmaceuticals back into the States, no, I mean, just saying, if it brings that back, the safety margin will be way higher
up dramatically
than what you're getting from you're getting from China and India right now. So,
or how about just being dependent?
And you could have done that with targeted tariffs.
Yeah,
right. But
you couldn't, and you're right. That would have worked really well.
I don't understand why we weren't doing that 15 years ago.
I would hope though that
neoliberalism,
our manufacturing base goes up because China would, I mean, the reason we won World War II is because we had such a massive manufacturing
Our manufacturing base was untouchable.
Right. And now this is kind of the opposite.
We don't have a manufacturing base anymore.
Well, China has that.
Our manufacturing base is now studio apartments with a great view of the downtown arts and crafts district.
Correct.
In the theater district.
Now, when we look at that screen that I pulled up earlier, what actually shocks me about the whole thing, and the part that you knocked me over with a fucking feather, pull this up. When we look at what they call the share of U.S. imports, I was shocked to find out that the European Union has a greater share of U.S. imports than China does. Because I live in a world where Harbor Freight exists. I live in a world where Walmart exists. I live in a world where Target exists. And when I walk into any of those places, the vast majority of items that are bouncing light into my eye holes are from China.
Yeah, but one BMW equals like 900.
That's the big question because you've got
true. Right. One BMW luxury touring sedan is worth an entire Dollar Tree.
Right.
Well, Volkswagen outside of Chinese manufacturing, Volkswagen is one of the largest manufacturing organizations in the world.
VAG is a big deal.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and they literally just bought International, so they've got all of that too.
Certainly.
It's going to be $2 tree.
It actually is.
So when you talk about
15 below.
So when you talk about Harbor Freight getting all their inventory from China, and they were in a sliver of the market of less expensive items, widgets, wouldn't you argue that, let's say, Home Depot or another company like that is also going to raise their prices proportionally? And at the end of the day, Harbor Freight's still going to be less expensive.
Yes.
Which is a fair, because Stanley ended up buying Craftsman. Craftsman and Cobalt and Stanley, I think, are all the same.
Bear with me.
now, right?
Black & Decker has Ryobi. No, the yellow ones. What's the yellow ones? What are the yellow tools? DeWalt. Yeah. So anyway,
yes.
I don't want to get into the weeds on that.
Yeah.
But yes, it is.
But that's the thing, is that because
I think Black & Decker bought Stanley and DeWalt and et cetera, et cetera.
Because when the whole Walmart thing went down, Stanley went bankrupt, and then they moved all the manufacturing to China, and then it started to suck.
Absolutely.
And then they were like, well, we need to buy this and bring the
to them, Calibra oil filters come in yet. Mr. Swearingen with a $10 pledge. That is bribery right there.
I thought that was a $10
my friends, that is a $10 question. Did them Calibra oil filters come in yet? No, but they have been ordered. And Dave is going to
get a discount.
And Dave is
he's going to get it. Yeah.
Dave is going to love this. I have had not one, but I've had one person put in a deposit on a bagger.
Oh,
A person who's not Dave Swearingen.
right.
And then I had another person come in who wants to trade me in their BMW motorcycle, small like F650, wants to trade me in their BMW motorcycle for a bagger.
It's a popular.
And then I have another person that wants to trade me a TNT 302 that I sold them 3 or 4 years ago for a bagger.
Really
Swearingen
start the trend.
pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
He has a bike. Everyone else is waiting until mid-June.
He bought today at yesterday's prices.
And Swearingen got the bike pre-tariff.
Oh, he got the smoking deal.
He got the smoke and deal. Everyone else, all these other people, will be post-tariff.
Yep.
Their badass bagger is going to cost them 20% more. Eesh is right. And Swearingen came in. He saw, he liked, he bought. Bam, bam, bam. He's done. He's good to go. Right?
He's
He
right.
who hesitates is lost.
Well, or he who hesitates is 20% the poorer, I guess, right? There's no time like the present. So this is an interesting thing. And I got into telling you guys, apparently the mental illness over there at Marini is insane because they're still doing the $1,500 discount on their leftover 23
I
inventory.
really want there to be a giant, wacky, arm-waving guy out front of the shop with a Marini.
If I cancel a 34 bike order from the company that's going to add 20% to the order I put 30 days ago or 2 weeks ago because of tariffs, I will spend that money at Marini buying Air Dam 23 and 24 that's already in this country because I've got a built-in 20% discount even beyond their ridiculous Marini money program, which is you can either have $1,500 off or take 3.9 financing. Again, I can do math. Yeah, I understand loans are expensive right now. Still, give me the $1,500 off.
Every time I walk past that blue scrambler, I look at it and go, why don't I own this?
Every time you go past that blue scrambler and know that it's less expensive than a Primavera.
Actually, yeah.
Exactly. Pre-tariff.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
Because
that's a fucking cool bike.
Because I've always wanted a 3.5.
It's a cool
and
bike.
now you've given me a 6.5, and it looks really freaking
3.5's
cool.
coming in too.
That's what she said.
Go ahead, Chris.
So if you cancel the order for the 34 bikes
Right.
that you've already put a deposit on,
Yeah.
do you forfeit any of the deposit? Like
I don't know. I may have to call a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah,
Ain't never fucking happened before.
Yeah. That's
25
a
years
big
doing
step.
this. 25 years doing this, right?
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. In my life, I haven't canceled too many $250,000 orders.
Yeah.
Right?
Fuck.
So that's something to be considered.
Well, on the bright side, you could buy the inventory off all those bike shops that are going out of business.
So you're not wrong.
This is not a bad idea.
No, because in 2008, that's exactly what I did. In 2008, we had our very best quarter of the year, third quarter 2008, followed by our very worst quarter of the year, fourth quarter 2008. The economy collapsed. The United States economy just took a giant shit. It took a giant shit, and it took it many years to come back. But what happened was when that economy crashed, and you might remember the mortgage scandals and you know, Country Red Mortgage and all the things that happened
And all that nasty bullshit.
in our country. When that happened, a fuck ton of dealers went out of business but I didn't. And the reason I didn't go out of business is when they were selling stuff for 50% of what they paid for it, I was the guy who had capital that went around buying it all. And I bought it all. And it was funny because at that same time, manufacturers were under financial duress and they weren't building shit. So there was no supply. So the supply was gone. The demand was also taking a hit. But the dealerships, there was this bonus supply that had already been paid for that was financially distressed. And the flooring companies, the finance companies, General Electric and Wells Fargo, they wanted to get their money. They wanted to get paid, even if it's only a percentage. And I was there to write them the check and take the bikes. So it was funny, not funny, when people are like, oh, well, we were at XYZ dealership and they had 3 bikes on the floor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, where are they? Well, they're all in my shop. They're all in my showroom. And they're here. I didn't have any problem getting people to pay me the full boat price when other dealers within 295 miles of my shop had no inventory or were, more importantly, out of business. And we went from 7 Vespa dealers within 50 miles of Cleveland to me in 2 years. And those dealer organizations that I was members of, who were beating their chests and talking about like, oh, you want to be a part of our dealer membership organization, that'll be $10,000 annual dues. And then magically by 2010, they were like, would you please be a member of our dealership and we'll pay your dues for you? Because we don't have anybody, right? Yeah. We live and breathe on data, and we don't have any data sources coming in because 60% of our dealers are out of business. I don't think it's going to be like that. I don't think that's going to be what we're looking at, because that financial collapse that we went through was a different kind of financial collapse. Our banks were overextended. General Motors was overextended. The banks were overextended, but there were still merchandise out there that people could buy.
The Big Short.
The Big Short. Exactly. It's exactly what it is. So this could have a major impact if you're considering buying a motorcycle. If you're considering buying a motorcycle, get on the horn right now. Contact a bunch of people, see if they have pre-tariff inventory that you can latch a good deal on, because I think that any dealer, any shop, any mom and pop shop that's got to pay their mortgage or has to pay their staff is going to be looking ahead 6 months or 8 months and going, man, it sure would be nice to sell some of these bikes we got hanging around here to generate some capital for the things that we don't have any choice about buying. And I'm going to tell you what those items are. When Tom rebuilds a motor, there's parts in that motor rebuild. Mm-hmm. And I don't have any choice about buying those. I have to buy those. When we sell tires, I don't have any choice. I got to buy tires. We all do. I mean, I was thinking the same thing. It's like, so you can choose not to buy a new helmet. You can choose not to buy a lot of things. Right. But you go on a trip, you come home, you got bald tires. You're like, I need new tires. You got to bite the bullet. You got to pay the money. You need a battery. You need a fucking battery. Mm-hmm. You need a tire. You need a fucking tire.
Are there any domestic sources for those? None that are cheap, right?
No. Everything that you're going to get.
And not for the sizes we're familiar with.
Also true.
A lot of, because we're talking, let's talk about batteries. There is no battery in the United States of America.
Correct.
You have nobody that can process lead because, let's face it, every battery in the world, other than gel and lithium, is going to be lead based, and nobody here in the country can handle that. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, if you're talking about gel or you're talking about lithium, they're definitely not going to be made here because they're too expensive to make if you made them here.
That's right.
And so what you're going to end up with is you're just going to have to eat the price.
Correct. That's exactly right. Even Yuazas that we love at the shop, and we absolutely do love Yuazas at the shop, they are not domestically made batteries. That is what it comes down to. Only a certain small handful of interstate batteries are made in the USA.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
go ahead.
It's not, I mean, if it's $100 battery, now it's $120 battery. Mm-hmm. That sucks, but that's not like, okay, well, I'm not going to ride my bike.
You got to put it in the right category.
Okay.
If it's $100 battery, now it's $137 battery.
37%.
Right.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Yep. So when I was on one of my summit trips, we got sent down to somewhere in South Carolina, and I think it's Extreme Batteries or Extreme something. Yep. But they literally hand manufacture them there.
Yep.
And so they mostly do race car stuff and like touring, or like the $100,000 hot rod, car battery.
And how much is their base battery?
The company's called Odyssey. So Odyssey and Extreme are the same thing.
Okay.
So Odyssey has Extreme Series batteries, and Odyssey batteries. But the point is that these particular batteries, for their made in the USA product, for a small battery starts at $172.
Yeah.
For what is the equivalent of a 12 amp hour battery.
That was going to be my question.
Mm-hmm.
So do you see these places that they already have they have the manufacturing capabilities, they have the facility.
Right.
Do you think that they'll be like, you know what, we should come out with a non-race, like we can take the cells that maybe aren't like 12,000 horsepower cell batteries, but we can repurpose these into and start making motorcycle batteries or something just to fill the gap.
So one of the batteries that we used to carry, because we like having certain things shopping and be like made in the USA is great. So there's a company called Big Crank. I know it's hilarious. Fucking Big Crank. Big Crank. And I did check and they are made in the USA. Check. Hold on. Wait. They are assembled in the USA of foreign components.
Yeah.
So they're going to get fucking tagged. They're going to get tagged. It's nice that they're assembled in the United States. That's cool. And their price generally runs about 40 to 50% higher than a Yuasa, right? That's tough.
Do they consider value added in the tariff?
I don't
know.
I don't think so. Yeah.
They're going to charge you on material cost.
Right.
But then you figure your material is not exactly 50% of the cost of the battery.
And that's exactly right.
Less if it's
Had this been a tariff that they'd been planning for a couple of years, I would believe that they would have considered that. But this right now appears to be a shotgun blast type tariff.
The problem is, it seems to be that, these guys don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Is the real what it comes down to. They have not talked to a bunch of economists. Otherwise, they would have been slapped around the head.
Well,
but the reality is when you start talking about value added overseas versus American made and everything else, where does the value added go? Right. These guys are like, I don't, that's language I don't understand.
No, if you manufacture something
no,
here,
I understand.
Okay.
I understand value added. And I've passed only 2 economics classes in my life.
Well, my economics
How'd you do in the rest
said
of them?
that it's worthless information.
I failed those.
It just gives them a job. So.
Why do you think I'm a mechanic? Oh, wait, that's because, never mind. We're not going to get into that.
Right. So
I am now.
this is a thing where I think that this is one of those deals. If somebody says, jump out of the car, everything's going to be fine. Right. And jump out of the car, everything's going to be fine is say, well, no, I don't think everything's going to be fine. And you go, no, it's going to be fine. Stuntmen do it all the time. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the amount of planning we have here. I've seen guys on TV jump out of cars.
Yeah.
And everything's
it's got to be easy.
It's got to be easy. So unless this is just a game of liar's poker, right? Well, we're at the turn right now. And you got a 2, 3, 4 showing. Well, you might have a 5 and a 6 in your hand, or you might have squatouche. Right?
If we're
Chris would say,
if we're showing our hand here, BYD is now eating Tesla's lunch. Everywhere else in the rest.
I was going to say everyone else but here. Right.
Everywhere else but here.
Right.
And it's only a matter. And honestly, this is the only thing that's going to keep BYD out of the United States. So they don't care. Let's build more markets elsewhere.
Anybody who was waiting on your BYD, by the way, that stands for Build Your Dreams.
Yep.
You'd be quicker to build your dreams.
Yeah.
Because the co-president has guaranteed that we are not going to see a BYD product in the United States.
You can fly into Mexico, buy one, and drive it across the border. It's fine.
It now stands for Bury Your Dreams.
Yeah, it does stand for Bury Your Dreams. If you had the idea of owning that Chinese product, the co-president is going to make sure, because that's his world. Oh, now, right? That's his thing.
Well,
he's protecting
considering
his
he's
kids.
Lost several $100 billion in the past couple of weeks because his product.
Whatever. Yeah, right. Right. That's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about motorcycles, and we're here to talk about as things impact us who might be motorcycle buying.
Well, speaking of things that impacted us, the audio tonight is sponsored by Crescent 9 THC Seltzer. But these are 50 milligrams each, so they're pretty good. That is
a fucking heavy hitter, man.
God, Sleepy, how are you still operating the board?
Migs.
Yeah, no, they're good.
So anyway, let's lighten this podcast up a little bit.
Yeah, just try to,
we're going to get a little heavy and doomsaying. Let's bring something
so much.
Hey, Phil, do you have any hate mail?
No. You know what? Let me take a look. And Chris, you were asking me about a CRF 250 before.
Correct.
What was going on with that?
Well,
that's not the kind of conversation that normally comes out of a Chris Smith face.
Yeah, no kidding.
Exactly. I don't think Chris Smith was tall enough to get on one of those.
No, he's plenty tall.
So I got an email earlier this week from Kevin over at GPS. Kevin at what's the name of his company? Anyhow, worldwide tours. So he's doing a tour, 10-day tour of North Vietnam on CRF 250s and 300s.
Okay.
And so I was talking to this friend of mine about maybe going, and this friend asked me, well, why do you want to go all that way to hurt yourself?
Yeah. I think what the friend actually said was, that's an awful far away from home to hurt yourself.
Yeah. So,
that's a fair statement.
So
I've seen Chris ride off-road.
once.
I have a T-shirt at home somebody made for me many years ago after I blew my leg up that says dirt equals hurt.
Yeah.
And I used to consider myself quite a good rider. There weren't too many people. I mean, I earned a number 2 plate in a national racing organization. Feel pretty good about that. Did a lot of races, ran a lot of laps, all kinds of cool stuff. I put my ass on a motocross track. I put my ass on a dirt track, and I ended up with a life-altering injury that I still haven't had a recovery from, because dirt can hurt.
Yeah. So the question I have is, can a 48-year-old guy learn how to ride?
48?
Yeah.
He's dyslexic. He's 84.
Yeah. I was gonna say that must have been a hard 48, dude.
I don't think you need Phil's Honda. I think you need an SSR.
No, I disagree.
Disagree.
That's what you're going to ride there. That's what you want to ride. But
okay.
First of all, my comment
Dan's got a good question.
What do we all buy this week, Dan? Oh, Dan. So about the dirt bike. So the reason I bought the tits on a bull, the thing I didn't need, okay? The reason I bought something stupid, or I took it in on trade and I allowed it to happen. I sat back and let it happen to me.
Yeah.
Right? The reason I did it
Think of England.
Because I wanted to reacquaint myself with dirt. My last several experiences doing dirty dirt shit. Now, we play with SSRs on the ice pack at Steve's house, and we ripped around Hoffert's property with the tunnel of trees and the beautiful fucking awesome thing that it is. But those are pit bikes. Those are pit bikes. Those are play bikes. And ultimately, everything's super duper scaled down and awesomely fun and great and cool.
You can hurt yourself pretty badly, but usually not enough to go to the hospital.
But there is no terrain feature that we encountered that was higher than my knee. Right? So the big jump at Hoffert's house is about 2.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
And we wet our pants on that.
Yeah.
Right?
We should ask John about how dangerous it is.
Oh, because you were down.
Property.
I flipped my quad over the other day, and I was limping around here. You saw last week. It was shit. I was trying to go for like the challenging, like going up over the hill, and and I was successful, and that was the worst thing that could happen to me, because then I'm like, well, I bet I can make it up over here where look, and then I finally turned it up to ridiculous, and then I flipped over. And I landed on a big log, and I thought I broke my leg, but I didn't.
I had these great visions last year in about August or September when I made this deal.
He's not used to big logs, so
he's a fucking turd herder.
He actually is. That's why.
I'm more used to wet shit.
So last year when I made that decision to get that thing, there were certain criteria that I had that this bike almost hit. So it's not street legal, but apparently our friend Aaron promises me that we can do something about that.
Dude, he has street legal bikes that I'm like, what?
I don't want to blow him in though. So right.
Yeah.
So that's fine. So we're going to work on that. But had it been a 300 that had the lighting rig and the turn signals and all that stuff, and it was more like I could commute back and forth to work on it, because for years I did commute back and forth to work on a 1975 Honda MT 250 Elsinore with commute a lighting rig.
If you're fast enough through the back roads, if you need to be.
So what you guys might not know is where I live in Avon Lake, we have CEI power lines that are now defunct because they're tearing down the power station, and they go on for miles. And I used to ride my KLR 650 back there. I rode my KLX 300 back there, and I rode my Zero back there quite a bit. Unaccompanied, like a dumbass, okay, in unimproved terrain that on its best day could be considered to be shitty, right? But there's condominiums on both sides, and you're only in the power line cut where the flipper babies grow, right? So that's why you're not allowed to have houses there.
Right.
So that's part of it. And then I have this railroad track that they were nice enough to build in the 30s that goes pretty much all the way from my house to Lakewood, where John lives, just blocks away from his house. And I could ride the cut along the railroad tracks, and I have pretty damn far on a Zero FX electric dirt bike or on my KLR. And then if I see a cop, like because somebody called me in, then I just do a UE and off I fuck into oblivion.
How do you get over the bridge over the Rocky River?
I'm going to tell you, you don't. That's the first thing is you don't. You don't. You get off because there's big gaps between the fucking sleepers. Oh. So between the railroad trestle, there is a 120-foot drop to your death. And I know my motorcycle won't fit through that hole. But I might.
I almost died when I was a kid. I just happened, for whatever reason, I was flying up the railroad tracks in Pennsylvania, and I came up to the bridge, and I decided, I'm going to stop and get off, and I want to walk out. I'm going to look down and everything. I was almost going to just ride across the trestle, and I got about halfway across, and there was 6 of the
sleepers.
They were cut out. So they were like, there was a huge hole. I would have died.
Yeah. You know why they cut that out?
Yeah.
So you keep people from around.
So you die.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a fast lesson learned. A quick drop and a sudden stop. Well, all these bikes I'm mentioning all have license plates on them. And so I can go on road and fuck around and then go back into the gravelly next to the railroad tracks and ride along at my will. But I kind of stopped doing that a few years ago after I had a couple of different motocrossy experiences that put too much stress on my at the time, 53-year-old body. And I was like, man, I do not want to break an important part of me anywhere but the hospital, right? Because getting from the point of impact to the hospital is not even great when you're in Westlake along some railroad tracks. At first, you have to admit you're stupid. Second, you got to work your way over to where the people are.
First, they have to find you.
They got to find you. First of all, you got to call 911 and explain how you're breaking the law.
Yeah.
Right.
Steve's down here going, cry me a river. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Right. He did it on the street.
Yeah.
But I just kind of decided that motocross and me, maybe we were done. But every year we go to AMA Vintage Days, and I will take an incredibly inappropriate vehicle and go the hill climb and all the fun shit that we do with the Misfits and yeehaw. And we take buddy scooters back to places that nobody's supposed to go. And they always come back. They always make it back.
Yeah, Costa with his Stella would lead the way half the time through all that shit.
Even when he was on his Bajaj, he would fucking take that Bajaj out and go places nobody should go.
Yeah.
So I had the Sherco, and I went out one day and I was just like, okay, I'm going to go out and motocross. I got a 2-stroke 290, all the power in the goddamn world. And I went and played around for the woods for a while. And then the next year I perforated my scrotum.
Right. Yeah, that was not good.
Okay. So I decided kinder, gentler. Get a CRF 250. It's electric start. It has a fuel injector. People that run tours on CRF 250s and CRF 300s and other motorcycles say that the people who have hundreds of years of riding off-road love the CRF 250 because it's completely predictable. They just love it. And they think it's great and it can go anywhere. So I got one. What I'm hoping is it's going to encourage me to go and do some things in the woods, having the correct piece of equipment. So I can't say, yeah, it was a 292 stroke and shit happened real quick and it got away from me. I'm a 55-year-old guy with diminishing physical strength and too much metal in my body already. So I want to go at it gentle. That's it. And if somebody said, hey, we're taking a tour, I would immediately say, how much gravel's on this tour? You know, how many narrow roads are on this tour? What is the rider level that you're expecting of me before I take this tour? I love my friend Moeen Khan from Pakistan. Is one of my coolest dudes I've ever met in my life. I will go anywhere he says to go. But every single time I watch a video of one of my somewhat skilled or moderately skilled friends coming back from his tour, I'm like, dude, on the right-hand side, you had a sheer rock face. And 18 inches later, you had a 900-foot crevasse. Mm-hmm. And I watched a woman who has some riding skill just lose her front wheel a tiny bit on baby head rocks. And when she lost her wheel, the bike fell down and she fell with it. And the only thing that kept her from falling 900 feet to her death was that she happened to have her hand got kind of jammed in the front wheel of the bike. So what would be considered to be a bad thing in any other day, your hand goes into your front wheel. Not a good day. But the bike was acting like an anchor, and it kept her whole body from going down the crevasse. Maybe that's not my idea of a good day. Maybe I want my bed to be a little more comfortable than that, right? Maybe I want my ride to be a little more plush than that. So I guess you got to figure out, like, what's your deal? And if you want to take the CRF out, take the CRF out. Go play around on it.
There's a little off-road park about 15 minutes from my Conneaut house. It's $20 a day to go ride there.
Hey.
That's right. That's right. And I don't know what the deal is with Kennedy's anymore or Meadowlark. I don't know what their financial system is to let you use the property and whether you have to be a membership. And last time I talked to them, there was like a waiting list a mile long to become a member of that off-road park.
There's miles of quad runner trails all along Conneaut Creek. You know, you can just ride there.
So something like that is probably a great way to go out and be like, this is something I might like to try out. Because you don't, there's no replacement for getting out and doing it. Motocrossing is not like, I say motocrossing, fucking trail riding. Yeah. Trail riding is nothing at all like riding on the street. There are things that cross over. There are way more things that don't.
Well, that's what I told Chris. I mean, take any one of your bikes and just try riding around a wet yard a little bit.
That's true.
We were playing with the KLR. It was his first riding of he rode a KLR for the first time today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I rode it. It wasn't the first time. I had ridden it once before down the.
Oh, that's right. Oh, okay. Yeah. But I got it started and I did a loop through the backyard. Well, it's squishy, and I'm like, whoa, careful now.
Squishy.
I'm like, yeah, just try that out and see what it feels like.
We joke all the time. We're like, yeah, I will do 900 laps of the grassy field at band camp, and I will explore around the very steep hill by where I camp. I'll do the hill climb up into the hills on completely inappropriate fucking vehicles. I mean, Coleman to 1964 Vespa GS. Been on all of them, right? And been up back in the woods where the goats don't go, right? And just do everything with a very slow pace and a very good high. And if you do everything with a very slow pace and a very good high, you almost can't get hurt. Now,
we overlanded last year really hard.
Yeah, that was fun as shit, man.
I tell you, man, inappropriate off-roading is a blast. I love inappropriate off-roading.
Nick had his Vespa with us. You were on SSR. Oh, yeah. I was on the Buscadero. And what else? There was somebody else. Was that us three?
That was just us.
But we forged the whole river. You know the river that goes up past the thing? Sand. We're like 9 feet of sand trying to get out of it.
It's the best.
Lifting the bikes up because you're stuck. Yeah. Oh, it's fucking great, man.
It is the best. It is my favorite thing. But if I were to do like a trip in Vietnam or something like that, I would want to make sure that I was up to it. So,
Well, and that's my thought. Maybe practice for 5 months and see whether I break something first.
Chris comes with
it's much better to break something here than to break something in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Way better to break something where your medical mutual works.
What if this would be the greatest thing ever if something clicked and like that was the thing that Smith was like awesome at. Yeah. So we just see him come by whipping a wheelie out of 250F.
Yeah, I mean, like all of a sudden Chris is a truck.
I'm not sure if that's a compliment or an insult.
No, I'm saying like out of like you
would just be backhanded compliment.
You can't even compliment.
You're not good at anything, Chris.
Apparently so.
No,
I think
we finally found one thing that you're good at.
I think I just blew the audio.
It's just that whole thing. It was like we talk about some years in Mid Ohio, somebody pulls up in front of our FEMA camp.
Yeah.
And we got the little Nada ramp set up or something silly. And somebody comes up who I've known for 25 years, and I had no idea they were the world's greatest trials rider. Until I go to offer them a beer, and they drink the beer without getting off their bike.
Right.
And their feet never hit the ground. And I'm like, what? I didn't know that you could literally ride a motorcycle backwards while drinking a beer one-handed. Yeah, I've been doing this since I was a kid.
Yeah, Dan did just comment, actually.
And I'm like, you're 70 years old and fat. Like, when did you ever become the world's greatest trials rider? Oh, it used to be a lot harder when, they were a foot clutch,
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit, right? So that's pretty cool. Hostic says, the Bajaj Cannon will go anywhere at Mid-Ohio. I did manage to stuff the exhaust between the tire and the motor while off-roading. Yeah, that's a common
We saw
thing.
the box off now and the pipe shoots flames. That's what's underneath it.
Four-stroke, man.
We need to find him
He snaked the Zuma this week, too. He's going to bring down the Mid-Ohio. Kevin looking for a dirt bike. Ended up with the Zuma.
Nice. Very good.
Kevin didn't beat him to it.
The Zuma is the perfect Mid-Ohio scooter. It really is. You cannot get hurt on that fucking bike.
No.
You know what?
Yeah.
We will probably have at least one, if not two, Black Cats at Mid-Ohio, which are even better than the Zuma.
That is better than the Zuma. I will say that. That's better than the Zuma.
Is that the one you rode cross country?
No, the Black Cat, that was a Madass. The Black Cat is a 50cc. It's 49cc, and basically what it is it's just...
It's the original Zuma.
It's the original Zuma. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Pre-bug Zuma.
It's a genuine Roughhouse 50 is what it is. So in our mailbag, Nicholas Fody, greetings from Atlanta. I have been enjoying the podcast and the YouTube streams this year. The Ratskeller basement setup has inspired me to do some upgrades to my own garage, which doubles as an office for my rider share rental business.
Nice.
Hey. Currently, I have a 2020 T120, a 2020 Speed Twin, and a Dyna from 2013 with an eye towards a fourth bike. I might have a problem. I also want to give a shout out to Sleepy and the Moto Stories channel. Great content, and the production quality and style is top notch. Lastly, I wanted to check with Renee on the status of my box. Joined the Patreon back in March, and I have not seen anything in the mail. Keep doing your thing, and looking forward to the hours of entertainment coming this year. So I want to pull this up so the folks at home can see it. Go ahead and Sleepy. There's his rider share garage.
Dope.
And there's his lineup. So he's got his Dyna over there. He's got because the Dyna, which means clearly his brother-in-law just went to prison, and somebody's got to keep that bike running for him. And then he's got his cool bar, and he's got some helmets there. It's a really nicely set up 2-car garage. Like, that's great. I wish I could see the floor in my 2-car garage. Yeah. That's fucking rad, man.
I can almost see it in that one, and it's a 3-car garage.
And he's got the little Turkish carpet there, little Oriental carpet there to be all hospitable. Couple of chairs there. What for bullshitting? Pretty nice.
You know what? That's always good when you got to take your boots off and it's not just on the cold cement. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, I am a big fan of area rugs.
So he says he's got Getting back to this, he's got 3 motorcycles.
He does. I see him.
I kind of miss a Dyna, and
there's a Dyna, and there's a T120.
Okay.
And then there's something else.
And you had the list.
I did. Well, I had to click off of it so we could read this shit. A T120 and a Speed Twin.
So Triumph heavy.
Yeah, and they're both 2020s and a Dyna from 2013. So it's a very affordable garage.
And he's looking for a 4th.
Right.
So what he needs is a Calibro.
Calibro would be a good move for that. Rider share friendly. He's doing a great job for rider share friendly because the Dyna, everyone's going to love a Dyna. And the Speed Twin and the T120, which are basically, T100, T120.
Well, it's a riding style difference because I've been looking at the Speedmaster setup as well.
He needs an adventure bike because he has a cruiser. Bike. So he has a cruiser and he has 2 cafe standards. So he should get an adventure bike of some sort. I think I see a very lightly used Versys in his future.
No.
Marini.
What's the
Moto
Marini?
Marini? That's fine. Again, I'm telling you, if I say Versys these days, I am. By the way, that automatically includes an Escape 650.
Well, then you need to start saying Escape instead of Versys.
That's fine. I am completely interchangeable on these bikes right now.
As a dealer,
I understand. I get it. Yeah, I get it. There's worse things to be co-associated with.
I'll CF Moto.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's fine too.
I know.
But my point being, follow what you've done already. Pick up a 6-year-old Versys for $3,200, and Bob's your goddamn uncle.
What's the Escape after the
Fanny's
discount?
your aunt.
Right.
I mean, I was literally thinking here. I'm like, you know what? I could make some money. I just rent out the Versys.
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
Liza's done that for a while. So Liza's had her bikes on rider share and Twisted Throttle for.
How did that work out for?
Nick DeVito.
Nick.
It worked out great for Nick. It did not work out so great
for the owner.
The owner of Nick's bike.
He got paid out though. So
yeah, that guy was really gracious. Though he knew Nick just, you know, he knew Nick wasn't like horsing around or anything like
I'm
that.
glad that wasn't that renter's only bike.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was an instructor.
Or the bike that he loved dearly.
No, that was an old instruction bike that he kind of just put up for rent.
The couple of people that we did a rider share program with that took bikes that I put up there when I had this idea, I was going to, hell, on my inventory up there, it'll be really cool. We'll do a thing. And it will help us get through the whole loophole of test rides and shit like that. The couple of people that we did that with, because the insurance, right? Because they're covered.
Right.
And the couple of people we did that with, I was just like, I looked at Renee and I was like, we're never going to see them again. I mean, not in one piece at least.
Right.
And the one guy brought the bike back. He slabbed it. He laid it down on the left-hand side. And then the other guy swears that he didn't damage the bike in any way, shape, or form, right? Just absolutely swears that he did nothing to it.
Wasn't me.
But meanwhile, the ball was missing on the front brake lever. The mirror was broken on the right side. And he's like, no, I didn't do that. It was like that when I left. And I was like, dude, we took pictures before you left.
Yeah.
Let me show you the photos.
Yeah. Let's talk for a second about
Also,
this.
it's a lever and a mirror. It's like, bro, it's like $60. Like,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
you didn't blow a case out.
This is easy.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not a rear tire and a rear fender.
For real. Yeah, for real. I've seen bikes get screwed into the ground and do $1,900 damage in 5 feet. In about 1.1 seconds.
Have you seen that video of you've all seen the, like, you know, they didn't slick the tires up, whatever. But the worst one is kid just picked up the BMW M1000 RR. So it's like the all carbon fiber with the wings sticking out and everything. And he goes and turns and goes and just throws it, screws it right into the ground, picks it up real quick, and not much damage, but still. And like, but the poor guy, he's like, I can't believe I just fucking did that. Like screaming at himself.
Yep.
Oh, I felt bad for him, man. That was terrible.
There is apparently our podcast listeners have tuned in on the Tanuki. If you look at Tanuki art, Tanuki art.
Tanuki on the screen tonight.
Yes. Apparently,
Thank you.
apparently the art that was being thrown down circa 1797.
Yeah.
That's, 1800 in your math. Apparently the art that was being thrown down about Tanukis in Japan was kind of, they're using their scrotums as fishing nets.
Well, if you can.
These are a bunch of Tanuki wearing their robes and their loincloth.
As a bunch just one Tanuki scrotum, or is that all?
It's all of them connected.
No, I don't think that's the Tanuki scrotum. I think they're using the scrotums to house the Tanuki.
No, dude, that's a fucking Tanuki.
Those
are for Tanuki. Anthropomorphized Tanuki.
And those are like snakes or something in their
and they've got eels and fishes that they've cordoned off. Instead of using a net, they're using their scrotums.
They're just showing off.
Now hold on. Yeah. It gets better.
But wait, there's
more. So now we have Tanuki calisthenics. I swear to God, it hurts me to even look at this.
Looking at this, I am not surprised that they were the ones that went, you know what, opium's good to smoke.
Look at this. 1785. This is what passes for culture in Japan.
So they were holding their balls up with their feet.
Their scrotums were so large that they could do calisthenics with them.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Ain't that a thing? Yeah.
You know what?
And you see the labor of the guy in the foreground trying to carry that massive scrotum. Massive scrotum.
That's, now you look at anime these days and you're like, wow, what the hell? These people are fucked up. And then you look at this and you're like,
no.
They've always been fucked up.
No. But seriously. That is 240 years ago.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that's 240, 250 years ago.
Like,
They haven't gotten any smaller.
That is 250 years ago. And that is what people were like, yeah. And the difference is now the anime chicks with the impossible.
Yeah.
Overhang.
Traditionally the fisherman's wife is the go-to.
Is the go-to, right? Yeah, I get it.
That's the only way you could raise ginseng because it needs to be in the shade.
It has to be in the shade. Oh my God.
You've tuned into our talk.
I just, it is one of those things. It is so awesome and depraved. Thanks, Colby Neely, for that, by the way. Well done, sir.
Look, the Tanuki I got in my box is high gloss glazed ceramic.
Yes, right.
You wouldn't believe how long it took to glaze it.
Yeah.
We send you the glaze.
Oh, the best thing I ever did was found those Tanuki Tiki mugs.
Yeah.
I'm so happy about those, and we send them out. We send them out for our very special listeners.
Mine's on the windowsill of our living room.
Yes.
The Matt Schuler says, hey, since you made a shout out, 6 months he's been a Patreon. So that means at the 6 month point, that's when Renee stuffs her box. Mm-hmm. So, that's a big deal. So he says, my neighborhood has occasional problems with porch pirates. I'm anticipating the box's arrival. Might you be able to forward the shipping info? I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get, shipping date, tracking, etc. Anything to help me snatch that box ASAP upon delivery.
Snatching a box is always
also
important.
Where can I get the show transcripts?
Not redundant.
I'd like to at least read the punchlines if I can't hear them on the show. Oh, consider these balls busted.
I love the
nicely done, sir.
I love to snatch kisses and vice versa.
Right.
So you might, I know here that you can ship it to, you can have it directed to like the Walgreens.
Fucking man up and have the shit delivered to your goddamn house, man.
Also true.
And if you're worried about porch pirates, get it at work. Right?
Also true.
Get it at work.
Also true.
If you have a lot of porch pirates in your neighborhood, get a lockbox. Get a fucking lockbox for your
one
front
of those
porch.
things that hops up
Get
in
a
the air
Claymore.
like a.
Get a Claymore. Claymore's a good idea too.
Get a Claymore.
Yeah. Get a Ring camera and a remotely operated Claymore.
Bungee sticks.
I don't see where there's a problem. Right. I think that's great.
You know what? It's 2025. We can totally put up everything.
I didn't
Claymores,
realize how many
punching
fuckers
sticks.
knocked on my door in Avon Lake until I got a Ring camera. And now I'm getting that little, beep, boop every time somebody hits my doorbell. And I am shocked at how many people have invaded my neighborhood and are just banging on my door for no good reason. Because if they're knocking on my door where I live, they're not up to any good.
Sir,
Somebody's
some
ringing
girls-
my bell.
Yeah, right.
Sir, we'd like to
Can
talk
you
to you.
yell back at him through
Do
your
me a
door
favor.
camera?
I can, and
Get
I
the
have.
fuck off my truck.
I can, and I have.
Look, I found Jesus. He's hiding under my couch. He doesn't want to fucking talk to you. Get out of here.
Here's Phil's neighborhood.
There's
Little
a
girls come up.
YouTube channel called Doorbell News,
Oh, really?
and they have it's all Ring doorbells.
Oh, it's all Ring
these
doorbells.
people. I mean, they have like people getting shot. I mean, like
Yeah.
but everything, like all the porch pirates, all these insane people that walk up to people's doorbells and like try to scratch the doorbells, steal their doorbells, walk right into their houses,
Walk right
They
into the
wiggle their
house.
door knobs, and if they're open, they walk right into their house. It's unbelievable.
I don't know how Ring figured it out because my house is about 50 feet off the street, right? And they just got it so nailed. I mean, I didn't fine tune this thing. I just put it up. I just hooked it up and away I fucked, right? But it is amazing. Cars go down my street. Not a single one of them sets off my shit. Mailman takes one step onto my driveway. I got him from scratching his balls all the way to like stuff in my mailbox, realizing he made a mistake, taking something out of my mailbox. It's crazy how good that camera is. It is silly the amount of technology we've developed in a very short period of time when it comes to like deprivation of privacy.
Well, I was going to say, because now all the Ring ones are connecting each other,
Oh, yeah.
and now the cameras don't need to
No, it's a
see. They
neighborhood
use
network.
Wi-Fi network,
Yeah.
and they can tell where all humans are. So,
Right.
yeah, that's great.
Thanks
for enabling Skynet.
It's a Ring network neighborhood.
That's the whole thing is we actually bought all the componentry for Big Brother.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
installed it ourselves.
How do we get these into these people's homes? They're never going to tape it. We sell it to them.
Hoffert thought there was a chip in the COVID vaccine, and the point is, you can't separate us from it.
a phone.
I'm giving you all of my information
No.
at all times.
This thing's got my social security number in it somewhere.
Right. Yeah. Would you like to let AI help you?
It's got
And
my
I've
bank,
left my
it's got
DNA on
bank
so many
info.
places on this planet.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, I think all the Amazon devices are connected even to your neighbors. And they use your neighbor's network as a backup network for your own.
So
Yes, why not?
sure.
Sure.
So this is not craziness. Every time the Google car drives down the street, well, doesn't Google own iRobot? the frickin' thing,
The vacuum cleaner?
thing.
Sure, why not?
Somebody that thing is mapping your house,
Of course.
and it's not even a tinfoil hat fucking conspiracy. It maps your house.
It knows how much your cat
and it connects
weighs.
to the Wi-Fi and ships it back.
Right.
Like that's not conspiracy. That's a thing.
It knows how old your TV is.
It takes pictures of you.
Right. That's it.
This on the
Patreon member,
internet.
Hofbrow. We have a new Patreon
Hey, wait a
member.
minute.
Hey, welcome to Hofbrow.
I'm wearing the wrong shirt.
Al at Imhoff, Al at Imhoff, and is his little thing. It looks like he may have a Himalaya.
Should he get
it's
that
hard to
checked?
tell what it is.
Should he get that checked by a doctor?
Imhoff. I like
the other thing, not the.
I've always liked the last name of Imhoff.
Yes.
Because how can you not name your kid Jack? if your last name is Imhoff, that would just be the biggest lock in the world.
Try my name.
Jack Hoffert? Yeah, that works pretty good. You're right. That works pretty good, my friend.
That'll do.
No, Imhoff.
That'll do.
That'll do.
It's a sludge tank. It's a sludge holding tank.
Is that what an Imhoff is?
Clarifier with a sludge holding tank below it.
It's called an Imhoff.
Well,
Imhoff tank.
It used to be called latrine.
Dang, man. Don't laugh, man. I used to repossess furniture, and I once repossessed furniture. A young lady answered the door, and she said her name was Latrina.
Oh.
And I was like,
Oh.
And I just went, man, that's tough. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. Because I said, I'm here to take the big screen. That's what I'm here for. And you can either give it to me or I'm going to take it. And I said, I just need your name. You were here, witnessed. I came here. I asked you for $250. You didn't have it. The big screen's got to go. And she signed it. And I looked at it and I was like, is your name Latrina? And she said, it is. I said, okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Shathiz has been my favorite.
Well,
D apostrophe Monica is always a big one too.
We will never be able to look at the name Aaron ever again.
No.
Thanks to Key and Peele.
Yeah.
Right. Aaron it's just from now on. If that is it, if your name is Aaron,
Aaron.
every time I see your name, Aaron is my second choice. Aaron is the second way I pronounce it. The first time I see your name, it's coming out of my mouth, Aaron.
But if that was your name, wouldn't you want that, though?
Oh, you'd own
I'd
that.
want somebody to call me that. That's way better than just Aaron.
Call Aaron. Let's find out.
Aaron.
Let's
Yeah,
find out if
yeah.
Aaron. Right.
Well, he's Ground Beardo, so that's
He is
cooler
Ground Beardo.
anyway.
That's also true.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah. What's his real name? Bandersnatch or something?
Which is awesome. You have to own that.
Dr. Feltersnatch. OBGYN.
Real.
Oh, that is so appropriate.
So let's move along with this hate mail first, and then
Right above her
Well,
door.
that's fine.
Once
So we just want to
What is it?
let people know that thank you. I did the shout out, and if you believe that you're owed some sort of a prop,
Yeah.
because we've had three people respond and say, hey, they feel like they were owed a box.
Okay.
And we've gotten it. So Renee's shipping the boxes out, and that's good.
Well, did you
So
see? We
I
had
appreciate
an
that heads up.
excuse. We had. Where did it go?
I'm sorry, we had an excuse.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Here, right here. Here it is. I got it pulled up for you.
Oh yes.
Renee has been busy with birds. Yes, it's kept her fingers out of her box. This is so true.
Oh yeah.
Sean O'Hara keeps bringing by raptors.
Yeah.
I see this.
And it is fucking cool.
It's because it's usually Burb Thursday.
It is Burb Thursday usually,
and
but
then it was Burb Tuesday this week.
I've pet so many. I've been around so
yeah.
many scary birds.
Yeah.
Where'd he get him?
So it turns out he has a bunch of birds that lives in his house with him.
Yeah.
And when I say birds, I don't mean like cockatoos and peacocks. I'm talking about straight up raptor predators.
This week it was another red-tailed
We
hawk.
started with a red-tailed hawk. Well, we started with a burrowing owl. Burrow owl. Adorable little
Why
thing.
the hell do you think they call it a burrow owl?
Because
it lives in a hole in the
it
ground.
lives in a hole in the ground. Right.
Didn't he have a Cooper Falcon?
He did.
He did.
And the first time he came by, he fucking broke Renee.
Oh, God.
Because he showed up with 6 or 7 birds.
Oh, he brought too many
And
birds.
so he'd bring a bird in, and Renee would just fucking, and the little pin would fall out of her brain.
Yeah.
And then, okay, hold the bird. And Renee was just overstimulated.
There's video of the bird coming to all of us.
Straight up flying
Like, here,
to us.
hold this away
That
from
was-
your face.
That was awesome.
It's true falconry.
That was awesome.
You stand there with a glove and a target, or what do they call that?
Yeah, I think it was just raw meat.
and a little foot. No, a little like chicken foot.
It was like
chick foot or something.
I think it was actually a prenatal mouse or something.
Sean, you absolutely should.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sean, you should bring tiki mugs. Yes. And we may have some there, right?
Yeah, the Tanuki one.
The Tanuki. Yeah. So what's fucking hilarious
We'll talk
is
about that in a bit.
when a fucking bird of prey is flying at your face or at your hand, which is connected to your face.
Yeah.
When that bird is flying at you, you're like, shit gets serious real quick. You've never tried to make your hand further from your face in your entire life. If you could take your hand off and give it to somebody else when there is a bird of prey flying at it, you might consider doing that shit. And when they land on your hand, you're like, thank God that wasn't my face. Because when they're flying at you, you think that you'd be focused on the beak. No, your brain starts focusing on the talons.
Yes. How heavy is that thing when it lands?
They're like 2 pounds.
Oh, really?
They're not heavy.
They're not very heavy.
They're not real heavy.
Okay.
But they're all hollow and feathers, but the problem is they're also meat.
But the claws,
sharp, pointy bits.
These claws have like a 400-pound grip strength.
Wow.
So if you weren't wearing the double welding glove that they give you, and that bird decided to make you its bitch, you would end up, Cripplestead really fast. I don't want to know how much damage any one of those birds could do to your human hand if it decided to make a point. Because I was showing Sean I have that scar on my hand from where the eagle got my sandwich. And that happened in 0 seconds, right?
There's a story for you.
There is a story fucking story. But I have a scar on my hand from my first sandwich I lost in Alaska, right? Because the eagle wanted it more than I did, and I can't read signs. So, but I was bleeding pretty good, and it happened like that. And that bird wasn't trying to take my hand. It was trying to take my sandwich. But my hand was collateral damage because it was attached to the sandwich. And for like a half a second, I'll admit I resisted.
Yeah.
I was like, no, my sandwich. But if you've ever had an eagle next to your fucking ear, you don't resist long because you're kind of freaking the fuck out. So your whole body just kind of goes into an instant retraction. So like all the parts of your body get in close as they can because you're pretty sure you're getting taken away.
What was worse, the eagle on your hand or the shirko on your scrotum?
The shirko on my scrotum wins.
Well,
yeah.
I got bit by a raccoon and a chicken today. So
you did?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's your own fault.
And your blind raccoon bit you?
Your roommate.
Well, not,
your roommate
we were playing. We were playing.
Your
She
roommate
got a little
sucked.
bite. And so then I walked out, and the chicken must have smelled the raccoon.
smelled the
bites, and
blood.
The chicken was like, whoosh.
Yeah, the chicken was like,
You were probably trying to choke it.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's true.
I feel like
Self-defense.
the Mutual of Omaha theme should be playing right now as Sleepy talks about it.
Renee wants nothing more than to pet the bird she owns.
Yeah.
She pays to maintain,
Oh, God.
and she feeds, and she takes loving care of. And she wants nothing more than to be able to touch that bird in ways that Sean will touch a fucking predator.
Right.
Yeah.
All right? Like, if there's ever a TV show called Touch a Predator, Sean is going to be on that show. Because he can fucking stroke a predator like nobody I've ever seen and gets away with it. And meanwhile, I wouldn't walk up to Renee's hand-raised fucking tropical bird and try to stroke it anyway.
Like I've said, she needs to just bring it in because by the end of the day,
Desensitize
the
it.
bird and I are going to be singing sea shanties in the back of the shop drinking rum.
Yeah, absolutely. And somehow the bird's going to be totally fine, but he's going to have a peg leg.
Yeah.
Right. That's going to have a little
He's going to have
fake peg leg.
He's going to have an 8mm
Yes, he
wrench.
is. Yeah.
They're
gonna fix it.
Yeah.
That's it. We're going to fix that.
We're all
Sean,
going to be drunk as shit.
Sean O'Hara's dropping tips at the shop all the time about, you can put that bird in your office on a perch with a little lanyard on his leg and he'll be fine. And Renee's like, oh no, the shop is too full of toxic chemicals and stuff. Meanwhile, Sean shows up with a no shit fucking falcon. Shows up with big, devastating, like way more majestic than a fucking gray, fucking parrot, an African gray.
What did he ever do to you?
What's that?
Norwegian
Poor little
blue.
guy, you're being sad.
Well, but the point is,
He's pining for the fjords.
It's not a raptor.
This is a nut eater.
Right.
This is a nut eater. Meanwhile, the other thing are animal eaters. Right. And so you'd think that Sean would be very concerned about the things that his animal eaters breathe in. But he has a very realistic...
Snorting lines of DDT.
Guess some fucking giant owl's like, what else you got?
Yeah, exactly.
I eat fucking vermin and spit out skeletons whole.
Dude, I ate shit by the side of the road on the interstate. Let's go.
Right. That's the thing. Right. I'm here to eat vermin pests. Like, seriously.
Hey, the squirrels were getting uppity, and I was like, let's go.
But there was finally a bird that Renee was able to handle and pet with wild abandon. And it was one of the pigeons.
Yeah.
One of the jailbirds that Sean got from our Cuyahoga County Correctional Facility, which is being overrun with pigeons. So Sean goes in there and he humanely relocates the pigeons to their point of death a few miles away. Right. So because there's somebody at the Cuyahoga County Board of Corrections that says like, oh, we want the pigeons to go away, but we don't want the pigeons to go away by one hot lead injection. We want the pigeons to go away in some more humane form.
Somewhere else.
That's exactly it. Right.
A farm upstate.
They want to eat the sausage, but they don't want to know how the sausage is made.
My
right?
great grandpa used to raise them on the roof.
Yeah.
And eat them.
There you go.
We joked about this. We said, you know what? We're going to build a jailbird house up on the roof.
Yes.
And we're going to put all the pigeons in there.
And the ones who can't transport fentanyl are going to get eaten as squab.
And then when we finally...
It'll supplement the dietary program at the Cuyahoga County Jail.
Once you give them about, 3-4 weeks of cleaning them out, they're going to be perfect squab.
Oh, perfect squab. Absolutely. And so he brought the bird in, and he's holding the bird in his hand like one does. And Renee's like, oh, my God, this is great. And now I honestly thought, this is not a stage pigeon. This is a pigeon straight from our jail.
Oh, yeah.
Right? This is an invasive species of fucking vermin, whatever. And he's holding this thing, and no kidding, you can pet it and the whole deal. I thought this thing would be pecking my fingers off and like freaking out and trying to kill things. No, it was being very cool. So either, again, it's Sean. Apparently Sean can fondle a predator and totally get away with it. So I'm
a jailbird.
I'm petting this jailbird. Yes, Sean can fondle jailbirds. For real. Jailbirds, close enough. And so I'm petting this pigeon, and I was like, I really thought the pigeon would be going ape shit. What? It's a pigeon. It's a wild animal. It doesn't know from being held, right? So I thought the bird would be going nuts. The bird wasn't going nuts. The bird was letting Sean do all kinds of funny bird shit to it. Yay, this is great. And I said, by the way, Renee, you know that today's the last day of that bird's life. Uh-oh. And Renee was like, oh. And I was like, how you gonna do this? And Sean had a really cool way of saying, I'm gonna break its little fucking neck. But he didn't say that. There was a term he used for it, and I just can't remember.
Oh, he'll pop up in a minute.
Yeah, he might.
Cervical readjustment.
Yeah. I think it was an advanced cervical readjustment. Yeah. It was some chiropractic term, but it wasn't. I'm going to snatch its little fucking neck. He didn't say that. Yeah, he didn't say I'm going to wind it up like a fucking like a New Year's Eve toy until it stops making crackly noises. But for real,
having seen a chicken defeatherer, those things are fucking crazy.
Yes,
and. Yeah. Now I want to see a tiny little one that does the squabs.
It does squab defeatherer. The one though that my favorite
cervical dislocation.
He says it's cervical dislocation, and that is exactly the right word for it. And maybe we could train Renee in cervical dislocation of
No, because
I'm not allowed to say the word cervix anywhere at the shop. That's not. I can't do that.
And now with the youngling coming in,
right? With the youngling coming in, we have to be super squared away.
Renee's gonna have to have a buzzer.
I'm gonna need a shock collar. So I've already said Merritt thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah.
That I should wear a shock collar.
Yeah.
And that anytime I say something inappropriate.
But that's beside the point of the kid coming in.
Right. Yeah. Anytime I say anything appropriate, they're gonna give me a little zap to break me of my habit of just being like, just saying whatever dumb shit comes into my head at the shop.
The most effective thing would be to have $1 every time you say it.
No.
Never do anything.
Fuck that dollar jar bullshit. Sometimes I want to say something and I'm like, $1
is easy. This is totally an impressionable young child.
Right. Yeah, right. You're a 17-year-old person, 17-year-old human in my shop. I can't be saying the stuff I normally say.
Get a tanuki collar.
A tanuki collar. That's not a bad idea. Right. But that one, you wear that around your scrotum?
There you go.
Yeah. I don't think I can handle that.
That's an entirely different Patreon level.
Seriously.
Oh my God.
Remotely hit Phil's Tanuki button. Yeah. Oh,
that's
boy.
That's like $5 grand.
That's $100 a month there.
Oh, fuck.
That would be a very expensive buy-in.
Yeah.
Right. But you could do it on camera and it'd be fun to just watch me fucking do that.
I get it.
You have to have a recycle time with that.
You definitely have to have a recycle time on that. That's one of those ones where it's like the button where they give you for the painkillers at the hospital. You can mash that sucker 47 times, but you're only getting one squirt in a half an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think you're helping yourself, but you're not. You're not. You're not making your life any better. Oh man.
This is our new Pornhub side account.
Oh.
Right
there you go. There's your
there.
OnlyFans. Just watched a 55-year-old guy randomly get shocked to the scrotum while he's trying to do other normal shit at work.
What's that? Yeah.
It's like invisible fencing, but you don't know where the line is. We just keep moving it. Look at. We moved the invisible fencing line this week, and it's now it's by the coffee machine.
But you keep crossing it.
Well, again,
Dude, this whole episode has been about balls.
well, it does.
Getting fucked in the fucked in the ass.
Well, there you go. Right. Yeah, right. Some's been the good way, some's been the not so good way.
Yeah.
Right.
Bad touch.
That's a real
Bad
thing.
touch.
Bad touch for real. Yeah, we may have to click the explicit rating on this box. I don't know. Might have to.
I mean, you have to break into the Uncle Touchy's wiener wagon. So.
Yeah, I just have that strong feeling, and I just know it's going to happen, that the second there's a 17-year-old person working at my shop, that something dumb is going to come out of my mouth. And the problem is I'm going to be trying to filter.
Yeah.
I'm going to be working hard. It's like when somebody comes into my shop buying a bike who's a man of the cloth or a woman of the cloth or whatever. I just there's this thing growing up the back of my head. You can't see it, but it's there. And it's just squeezing my brain
But I'm trying
to break my filter.
I'm trying to think. Most of the jokes aren't really blue. They're more just raw. I don't know. Like what? I'm trying to think of what would make a.
They're clever.
One of my biggest problems is I say things without saying the dirty punchline to let you fill in the blanks on your own. So you're the dirty fucker.
Yeah.
Because what I said was totally wholesome, but you took it somewhere weird, Mr. Mr. Fister.
You let them down the path.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. And when I'm talking to people about how to adjust your mirrors, and you got to hang on to the shaft, and with your other hand, you got to grab the nut, and you got to work the shaft and the nut with each other, right? Not the head, because
it can break
off.
Yeah. you gotta watch.
So you just got to focus,
cradle the head,
the shaft, and just give the nut just the right amount of twist as you're rotating the shaft, and that's the correct way to adjust a mirror on a motorcycle. Now, I don't know why everybody fucking gets all red when I try to tell them how to adjust the mirrors on their bike, but fuck, man.
Inexperienced.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you. That's it. And that's why they come in with their shit broken all the time.
We just outgayed the Misfits. This was impressive.
And Sean's
not even here.
Jeez.
Wow.
I don't think we outgayed them. I just think we outguttered them.
That's
okay.
it.
Yeah, we just when they go high, we go low.
So you have
Sure.
to,
That's all it is. That's a fair enough thing.
You have to take care of the head while you're fondling the shaft, and then adjust the nut.
So are we going to do the 500 at Skidmark?
Whatever you guys want.
Okay.
So
we can make it work, right?
Well, wait. Somebody's going on a fucking trip over here.
Yeah. Okay. So we gotta lean into that because Dan needs to be at our 500.
I'm gone like 2 Thursdays in a row. Unfortunately, I could probably be back that second Thursday. I can rearrange.
Let me say this also. Dustin Elliott cannot make it on a Thursday.
Okay.
From 2 weeks from now because he's gigging up.
Okay. All right. So we need to do a little more work. We may have to have a 498.5 episode and a 499 episode.
Well, we can have
and a 499.5 episode.
How about everything from like 499 after that?
Yeah,
is just behind the scenes of 500. Because
can you do that?
Because what we'll be doing is we'll be discussing.
We're gonna have to nail this date down.
Preparation, so we can talk about the preparations and build up to it.
Right.
That might give people a little bit of time if they want to come and join us if we're doing
That's
this
true too.
to get their shit together and
love
to
that.
come and do it.
Yeah.
So we'll do up to 499.
As long as we don't stretch it all the way out to DGR.
Yeah, right.
So if we stretch it out to May 18th, then that's a fucking non-starter for me.
Well, the reality is if we stretch it out to that, there's already going to be the pre-night.
Oh, believe me.
Boom, here you go.
I love a three-way.
Yeah. I believe May 8th is a Thursday.
Is it a Thursday?
Isn't that?
Okay. All right. I'm willing to check.
And then like the 10th is the skid mark party.
Okay,
And then
all right.
11th is DGR. So it could be Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
The 18th is DGR.
Yeah.
18th. Okay.
Yeah, so the 18th is DGR.
That's a week
The
later.
17th is the skid mark party, right? We have a little bit of planning to do, guys. Yeah, don't set your sundials just yet.
the real problem isn't the planning, because it's going to be kind of fast and loose, and somebody's already working on the menu, but the date is going to be the issue.
Yeah.
Well, of course, yes.
That's the big thing, because everything else is kind of coming together outside of it.
Yeah. And honestly, you guys, it took us 14 years to get this long to get to where we are.
Yeah.
Let's not rush. And fuck it up. Because it's got to be the 500th and it's got to be that day. Nah.
I kind of feel like, right. I mean, you're looking at 500 going, this is a hard line. So what if it's 501? So
Who cares what the fuck it is? It honestly doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It seriously doesn't matter.
Well, 500 seems kind of generic anyways.
Yeah.
Every podcast makes 500 episodes.
No, but I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. But everybody that's hit 500 has celebrated at 500.
Oh, so we got to be different.
So if we do 501, that's just fucking cool.
It's like the jeans.
503.
Exactly. You guys popped early at 500. We fucking came out at 501.
We let ours marinate.
Yes.
Not a hard and fast.
We brought it a little extra.
Our duck is even more succulent.
Our celebration was just a little more mature and a little more organized.
So whatever works out for, works out for.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We just want to make sure it happens.
Yeah, we cannot record the 500th, the ceremonial 500th episode the same night as Skid Mark's 10th anniversary party because shit show.
Yeah.
It will be unlistenable, worse than the bus podcast.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say otherwise a shit show would be fine.
It is.
I mean, you tuned in, you get what you get.
It is going. Some of the podcasts that we did at Porco were goddamn off the rails.
Yeah.
I mean, just off the. We didn't even get to we're warmed up and we're rolling.
Why was that, do you think?
I can't imagine.
Golly.
Could be some
Fucking zombies.
Lubrication.
Yeah, freaking Mai Tais. Freaking painkillers, right? That was the problem. Is there's nothing in that
Heart of Darkness.
Roman twist. There's nothing there's nothing in that bar that can keep your legs working, right? Yeah, it's just very, very, very dangerous environment.
I mean, it doesn't help that it's in the kissing booth. So
no, but also what happens is the way they get you, it's a fucking scam. Because one guy gets one drink and then they suggest a different one to your buddy, right? Yes. Then you both are, this is fucking, you got to try this. Yeah, and you're like, I have to have that next.
Oh, communicable diseases at Porco out of just sheerly sharing the experience.
Right.
And you're like, wow, that's great. No, that's what hepatitis tastes like.
But now they sold 2 of each, right? Because
for real.
Boom, and then somebody else gives you a sip and then now your third one, because you were only planning on having one, but you had to have it.
We got to try it.
Right.
So if you have 6 people at your table.
Yeah, you're fucked.
You got an Uber.
Yeah.
Hey,
that's it.
A scorpion bowl. That sounds good.
Right. How many scorpion bowls are we allowed to have? That's it. It seems like that's just good value. Good value for money.
Oh,
we can all share one drink.
Right.
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly? And it's on fire.
I had to push a scooter
idea.
5 miles home after one of those nights, man.
The secret ingredient's amoxicillin.
Jesus Christ. The ivermectin Mai Tai?
We're all back, baby. So for those of you tuning in, join our Patreon app.
Join our Patreon. I didn't check. I meant to check something and it got away from me just a little bit. I wanted to see how many subscribers we had on YouTube. Because I've just kind of been playing that game, and I was kind of like,
we're 36 on the live chat.
Where are we? Are we 36 deep?
We are 36 deep in the live chat, which is good. That's really
fucking
good.
Awesome. That's really cool. I like that.
I've been watching along, kind of playing with Sean. So.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that.
I mean, he brings me birds to play with, so I might as well play with him.
Okay, guys, we've gotten 62 subscribers in the last 28 days. Nice, very cool. But
like and subscribe.
We still not have broke 10,000.
The hell.
I know.
To lose some?
If you enjoy listening to our
some
podcast.
between the couch.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You're like, we got 62 new subscribers, but apparently we lost 50.
Well,
they don't tell you about that.
Did you pay attention though?
No, I don't. What do you mean pay attention?
I don't know. Like 6 months ago, a lot of things got purged. So like my channel, I lost almost 1,100 for some unknown reason.
Fuck.
I know the reason.
They said that as long as I used a different name on OnlyFans, it wouldn't affect the account.
Right,
So
exactly. Yeah.
but seriously, that happened. So if you weren't watching, you could have dropped. It was like they either did dead accounts or they did like sometimes it wasn't your fault or anything. It might have been a bot that subscribed to a whole bunch of different shit that was trying to do whatever. So it goes through and it rips them out. So it's like, because it seemed like it was really close a while ago, and then we've been getting more and more, and then it's not there. So I noticed that on my shit. So I just wonder if that didn't happen.
I don't know. I mean,
so what you need to do is log into your wife's account and like us and subscribe.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever gets the job done. Honestly, I'm not picky. I'm cool with it. I have no problem with anybody, straight up, as long as they subscribe. Fuck it, dude. Dude, it is free. It is still free. It is still
you nothing.
One click.
Well, and if you subscribe, you might hear Dustin Elliott on the 500th episode.
Right. And that's another big thing,
that's
too.
That's worth it right there, man.
That is worth the price of admission, I swear. Yes.
We're trying to get Johnny Crumb to come in town, too.
Also, that is another fantastic thing. I'm just, the more that I look at YouTube and the way it works, the more that I see the way you're growing your channel and how it's fucking just taken off. And that we've got over 30 people playing along on a chat on a Thursday night from a bunch of assholes in a basement in Cleveland. Right?
Hey.
Well, I mean, come on, right? If you don't think we're a bunch of assholes in a basement in Cleveland, step up, open your mouth and make it better.
Are we in Cleveland?
We're in the Ratskeller. We're in the Ratskeller. That's exactly where we need to be. But that, that idea of people watching this live still hasn't sunk in for me. When we see the people chatting in, it's like, oh shit, I forgot.
Can you imagine like if it was a high end thing trying to emulate this?
Right. We're going to build a studio.
Yeah.
And it needs to look like this. Yeah. Oh boy, that's a tall fucking order. That is a very, very tall order. I mean,
I don't think they could do it properly. I don't think it could happen.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. So yeah, 9,826 subscribers. So we're like literally 174 people away from 10,000.
That's a weekend in a truck lot.
Yeah, right. Here's a video of Phil falling down the stairs. Yeah. Boom, 500 subscribers, right? That's exactly what it is.
I mean, do we need to do the latest TikTok dance and get you all in on this? Or
I don't even fucking know. That whole thing scares me too. Yeah, that absolutely, 100% that scares me. It also scares me sometimes when I look at these things and I'm like, oh, what do you mean we've had, 9 million hours of views? Holy shit. Like that terrifies me. The fact that somebody says, oh, in the past month, 16,000 people have been on our channel. That's fucking great. Yeah, I'm looking at it right here.
That's the thing. It's, stats hard numbers are easy.
Right.
Hard and easy.
YouTube's not trying to keep that a secret from anybody, by the way. YouTube really, really wants you to do things to enhance their ability to advertise boner pills on this channel or whatever the fuck it is.
So
whatever ad comes up when you're watching this shit.
We should get sponsored by Hims.
Yeah, I swear to God.
You had a problem with erections or birds grabbing your dick?
Yes, right.
We should get a bill for that.
We have a bill for that.
Here's a crazy thing. Can you imagine that in 28 days, 1,900 hours of human life have been spent watching this shit?
My God, do you people have nothing else better to do with your lives?
These are the things that fucking make me crazy. They make me fucking nuts. And it was one thing to think, okay, well, it's a little thing and you can, like, I listen to the podcast when we're driving around, I'm doing deliveries and shit. I listen to podcasts, that's fine. But the point is, I just hope that this is on the TV in the background while you're doing something important, like a good poo or something. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I'm thinking Manscaped has now decided that they made a big mistake by dropping.
No, not at all. I listen to other podcasts, and that's where they are right now.
I would love to get sponsored by Pitbull because I totally need that shit.
Well, the funny thing is when I hear a podcast and they're like, hey, and guess what? Our new sponsor this week is ball trimmers. And I'm like, oh, I remember when we were that young. Oh, I remember my ball trimmer, right?
Dude, you know what? It can get depressing. Like there's some YouTubers that I'll watch. They're entertaining. They're cool. Other motorcycle guys.
You know what?
And then you see the dude like do a thing for Temu. And you're like, motherfucker.
You know,
I see your numbers. Like, you didn't have to take that money.
No, you didn't.
Like,
no, you didn't.
Yeah.
You did not need to take that money.
Right.
A couple of the guys that I watch lately have been doing better health, and I'm like, well, I could use a new therapist.
Yeah, Better Health is out there, and that's I'm not giving them a plug. It's freaking weird though when you look at stuff and you're like, okay, I want to know what those people were watching. Don't go in there. Do not go into your history of the people and the views you got this month and see what they were watching. Because it's like, you remember that electric scooter video we did?
Oh yeah.
Apparently that thing that we shot back in year of our Lord 2022 is still relevant.
Yeah.
Really?
People in this month, 636 people watched that thing the whole way through.
No shit.
And it's a long motherfucker. It is a really long video, right? And it's all about, 4 slightly overweight guys riding around on electric scooters. Well, 3 slightly overweight guys and Oscar riding around on electric scooters in Cleveland, Ohio. And it kills me that people are like 636 people said, yeah, that's what I want to spend half an hour of my life on.
Jesus.
Right. Yeah. Because that's how bad television is.
I guess so.
Yeah. That somebody's going to be
but
like,
it did feature Kremke, right?
Yeah, but hold on.
It featured all of us. Yeah.
Like, you're downplaying it, but what do you watch when you're not doing this? I watch the same shit that other guys are doing.
Oh, you're an
you don't
idiot.
even know. You don't want to know what I watch.
You know what I'm saying, though? But
And I go into deep dives that are 100. I'm on 3 different watch lists.
do you
right
want to
now.
hear people
Phil.
on the TV talking like today that I was going to just
You
just want to hear
were
guys
the one
talking.
that turned me on to how to drink.
How to drink?
Yeah.
And I do watch Habitual Line Crosser.
Mentor Pilot.
Right, Mentor Pilot. I mean, I watch stuff that is trades based, and my Merritt comes into the living room and sees me, and she goes, "Oh, you're watching Talking Maps again."
There's a weird conspiracy theorist guy I watch from like Germany or Britain. I can't remember which. Bunch of weird shit.
Yeah, I mean, 761 people watched a video from 2019 about how to buy your first scooter.
Yeah.
It's silly. Oh, for John McElfresh, last month, 600 people watched our Versus 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 shootout. Our video about the Versus versus the Versus, which is just fun because Versus 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 is one of my favorite alliterations ever.
Vice versus.
Vice versus. 600 people
Who won?
in the last month watched it. The Versus one. Yeah, the Versus one. The decision was, are you going to buy a Versus or a Versus bagger? Like, which way do you want to have your Versus? It's freaking hilarious. Would you like to know which one of our podcasts got the absolute most number of views in the past month? Video?
Yes.
Like we do? Live?
Yes.
It was 494, bringing back Shop Class with Brian Shaffron.
Excellent.
Nice.
All right.
494 views. I'm sorry, 469 views of that video that we just dropped on March 6th.
Yeah.
Right. And Brian was here. So Brian brings the numbers, right? I think there's a small cult following around Brian Shaffron.
Yeah,
He's good looking.
That's fair.
He's good looking. He's well spoken.
Whoa, okay.
Well, look at us, dude.
Yeah,
look
baby.
around. You know,
Yeah.
they're probably
Yeah, look
nice
around.
to see some
Look at
fucking
you.
smiles.
I mean,
Look at
Sleepy did refer to me as like a human thumb. So
I am.
Wait, I'm not saying I'm good. I'm saying
everywhere.
I'm with you guys.
I'm well past my sell by date.
So what you're saying is we're not good looking.
No, and I wasn't trying to say I was.
What were you
Look,
saying?
Look at this.
What were you saying?
We're just us.
Do you feel like you're talking to your wife now?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
From a certain point of view.
I
but
love you. I'm
You're
sorry,
beautiful to me, baby. Yeah.
What do you want to eat? I'll get it on the way home.
What do you mean? I got to cook? Why do I have to cook?
Oh man. Hey, if any of you guys, if any of you guys are in the Cleveland area and you're listening to the podcast and you're a roofer who isn't in league with Satan, give me a call. I got a really simple ranch house. You know, it's very, there's almost no slope there. And it's it's just one layer dimensional, easy tear off, put some new ones on.
Oh,
That's
one
cool.
layer, you just put another layer on it.
And you have domestic shingles.
So if they're triple tabs,
No.
the old school kind, you can do a second layer. If they're dimensional, because they're thicker, and you do a second layer, it always looks like dog shit.
No, you can't do that.
And it harbors water and stuff like that. It's bad news.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of do a tear off. But the slope is non-existent. It's pretty easy, and it's under 2,000 square feet. So it's only 60
Two-part
bundles of shingle.
epoxy. Two-part
epoxy. Just spray it.
Rhino Shield.
Rhino Shield, spray it. That's it.
If anybody's looking for a pre-tariff Honda Monkey,
Hey,
let me know.
Oh, you're selling.
I got two. I got to get rid of one.
Now that's something that our listeners should be into.
Yeah.
Because, Honda Monkeys are definitely on that list of bikes that are going to get a lot fucking more expensive.
And you can't get your hands on them right now.
Can't get your hands on them. And is there going to be any difference between the Monkey you're trying to sell and what would be a 2025 or 2026?
Negatory, Big Ben.
Same bike, right?
No, 5-speed.
Minimal difference. Yeah.
Is it a 5-speed?
The new ones are 5-speeds.
Oh,
It's a 5-speed.
Yeah, I was going to
a
say.
5-speed.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a 2024.
I got a 19.
Here's a 4-speed.
19's a 4-speed.
Oh.
I upgraded.
Sure. I have no idea where the cutoff is because, I don't.
Actually, I don't know. But
It doesn't make a big difference.
Right.
But, I mean,
all right.
The terminal velocity is not any different.
No.
So
It'll get you going where you want to go.
But the point being that for somebody who's staring down the barrel of like, okay, my dealer doesn't have one and they're not going to have one. And then what they're going to have is going to be post-tariff.
Yeah.
And that's going to mean a shit ton more money. Yours is a rideable, runnable, great bike.
With gravitas.
With gravitas. With provenance.
Provenance.
There you go. That's cool. Anybody else got anything else?
Chris's Tanukis were on the seat.
Smile when you say that.
Bonus Tanuki.
So Chris, you got a joke?
I do not.
Oh, you didn't bring a joke? Oh. I honestly haven't. I have not heard any good jokes.
You had
lately.
one job.
I would be. I'd be grateful to hear a good joke at this point. Seriously. After the day I've had.
I have a joke my daughter made up today.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's a chicken's favorite dessert?
Chicken's favorite dessert. Nope. No idea.
Baklava.
And on that, my friends, ride fast and take chances. Play us out here, Johnny. Put your cock away, Dan. Bunch of fucking cocks. Hit the red button, Sleepy. Get us out of here.